Right.
Namaste. Welcome to another. This is our fourth stream and video today. So, the curious case of Loomer, okay, the American right-wing influencer, a very prominent voice in the American right-wing, and curiously, she has landed in India at the India Today conclave. And before she even actually arrived in India, there has been a spanner in the Indian nationalist circles regarding her stance on Indians in terms of a few racist remarks she had made on Indians. And then she landed here in India at the India Today conclave, and we have seen what's happened. So I thought we'll invite our two important guests who do know a little bit about the American right in terms of politics, and they have spent time there. So we have Munshi Shastri and Anand. So we'll start with first Munshi, because Munshi is much more closer to the action in the North American continent. So what's happening with Laura Loomer and why she is in India?
So let me start with a brief profile of Laura Loomer, right? I think people need to understand who she is, and where she comes from. So she's a '93 born Arizonan. So basically, she's from the middle of America itself. Like this state is like, I put it, maybe in a very crass way. It's as white as can be, right? So. Uh, it's very conservative. I mean, obviously, some of the cities are pretty progressive, but nonetheless, it's very conservative. Uh, she has a degree in broadcast journalism, and she's been an activist ever since her college days, right? So it's not like her activism is new. And she's worked on various, like, what you would consider to be far right projects. So in the US, there was a movement called Project Veritas, which was sort of like a white nationalist far right movement, and they were trying to like highlight the fact that uh, they were trying to make a thing out of, like, the first European woman to give birth in America or something. Like they're that far right? It's kind of kooky, to be honest. From there, she actually worked for Rebel Media, which is a Canadian far right publication. Then she worked for Infowars, which is Alex Jones' famous, very like live stream conspiratorial stuff, where he basically screams like the frogs are gay or something like that, right? Um,
Took the words
and
right out of my mouth.
hmm?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. So she's had that history with the more far right part of the movement. Now, her core alignments are basically like, she's like white nationalism, to be honest. Um, and she's known for her anti-Muslim activism.
Uh, I'll interject. Is it white nationalism or white uh, Christian nationalism? Christian. Is it Christian nationalism or only white nationalism, or it is both Christian supremacy and whiteness?
I mean, it can manifest in different ways, right? So the primary, I would say,
because because in my like whatever I have studied, correct, in terms of right wing politics, especially in North America, in USA. So in United States, the right wing politics actually revolves around Christian churches. So the church has a very big influence on right wing politics. So that's why I asking this question.
yeah. So that might seem so from the outside, right? But if you look at the movement from the inside, the right side of American politics has always centered around sort of like the white identity, right? So Christianity is basically another I would say you could either call it a manifestation of that white identity. Basically, they're saying like, white culture is nothing without Christianity or the Enlightenment or something like that, right? Or you could also conversely also say that, okay, there's a support base for this among, say, the more conservative Christian communities, right? So I think it works both ways. Um, but it would be kind of like a mistake to basically look at white nationalism and discount the fact that there is a Christian element to it. Uh, it does come into the center from time to time, but as a broader movement, it's just another kind of, I'd say, campaign tactic, if that would be appropriate phrase to use.
Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't even think Christianity is a non-white phenomenon. Everything about Christianity is about to strengthen the not white population, the European population. Everything, all Christian goals throughout the world, including in so-called people of color regions, are to further the power of the European Christian. It's simple as that. That's why you notice in any debate about Christianity, you don't see discussions with African Christians or East Asian Christians or even a Christian from India. They're not part of the conversation, right? Because they're not relevant, right? Same thing with now it's changing, of course, for Judaism, but even in Judaism, when you discuss Judaism, you rarely find a brown Jew or a Asian Jew or a African Jew debating being the main spokesperson. It's always a European Jew generally, because they're the ones who have gone through the Holocaust and were targeted the most, right? And of course, they try to represent the community. So we make the mistake of assuming white nationalism is Christianity is uniquely diverse. It is not. It is fundamentally the reason for spread of Christianity is to further European political objectives, not for enlightenment of the population. That's how I see it. It's a political, similar to how, for example, why are all Muslims wearing Arab clothing? Fundamentally, the Islam is not about race. Then why are Muslims adopting specifically Arab style clothing, even for modesty? Same thing. So basically, Islam is an Arab Arab political project, and Christianity is a European political project. That's how I see it. Continue.
Yeah, Shastri.
Yeah, I mean, you could consider that to be a corollary, right? Like, it is, like, in the sense that when you look at American history, especially political history and political rhetoric, it's always been framed in terms of, like, Christianity, like it's a civilizing project. So, I mean, in a lot of different ways, like, you cannot dismiss what Anand said. There's lots of truth in that. But coming back to Laura Loomer, right? So, going down, I mean, walking through her profile, right? So, she worked at Infowars, and she's worked at various, like, those right to far right, like, conspiracy ecosystem. Now, and I think she's been moderately successful. It also kind of shows, like, how American mainstream has deviated from one form of, politics that existed in the 2010s to a completely another form of politics, right? And I think she was a victim of, like, that extreme counter reaction that came towards Trump, that came towards that arrived after Trump was booted out of office after his first term, right? So, and I think she's also benefited from that counter reaction that came from it, those huge backlash that came from it, which is why you have Trump coming back for second term, right? It's like people didn't like the counter reaction, and there's been a huge backlash against it. So she's sort of like now a more like normative right winger, not a far righter, but more like a normative right winger, right? Uh, the past Laura Loomer uh, would have been way more aggressive against non-white people. uh they would basically consider brown people as non-American, right? And she still holds some of that view, though she apologized for it in India. uh but
Did she though?
I mean, she
Yeah.
did kind of, like, whether
She
you
said,
believe in whether you
no,
believe in it.
she was like, I am. I'm sorry that you feel offended by the statement I made. That's an apology.
Yeah, I mean, whether you believe it or not.
She also deleted the tweet. So let's
But
deleting the
that's what
deleting
you
the
call
tweet.
that's what you call in marketing a non-apology apology. They
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this very.
I
I'm sorry that you got offended by what I said. Not that
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry that I.
I actually want to come back to to that at a later point in time, but I
Okay.
think you broke it a little too soon, right? Uh, like, I mean, the thing is, like, rhetorical people, especially those who are benefiting from the social media and live streaming and everything else, right? They're essentially political grifters, right? And if you want to be a successful political grifter, then you're constantly going to revise, like, what you
Yeah.
what you said in the past. You'll issue your a non-apology apology that would basically simmer the temperature down. But ultimately, it's all about, like, ये बंदी का angle क्या है, to put it in
Yeah.
very Mumbaiya terms.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so either which way, like, I thought it was exceptionally interesting for India Today to invite her, right? I mean, there is obviously, like, the leftist, the typical, like, invite uh the most, like, your adversary and give them a public humiliating dressing down aspect, which is typical of India's Ansha regime tactics. But I think it goes beyond that a little bit. Like, Laura Loomer has said extremely nasty stuff against Indians and Hindus. I think at one point in time she even cursed Vishnu. Bad thing. Uh, or she retweeted it. I don't remember what she exactly did. But I feel like, the folks at India Today thought that they would not only give her humiliating dressing down, but if they didn't, then they would have basically highlighted that, they would have basically invited an anti-Hindu bigot and gave her a platform, right? So I think both aspects sort of backfired at them.
Okay, just one question. So you're mentioning that okay, she has a history of racist bigotry against Hindus and Indians, but was she as vocal against Islamists and jihadists
Yeah.
previously,
Yeah.
or it is something?
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
always.
I think the anti-Muslim stuff actually gave her the kind of popularity that would not have happened with anti-Indians, right? The weird thing about conservatives in the US is that uh, they're earnest people in a different way, right? They have their boundaries. You respect them, they'll also respect you, right? If they see you're a hardworking person, you keep to their boundaries and you keep to your own, they generally don't dismiss you. Like, they generally don't uh, you know engage in harm against you, right? I have a feeling that like, I mean, and that's why, um anti-Indian rhetoric uh, doesn't really work in the heartland of the US. Now, you have to remember one thing is that there are a lot of Indians in the middle of the US as well, right? So Oklahoma has a huge Indian population. People don't realize that. Like, there's a strong, like, 100,000 Indians there. uh, it's not as big as, say, the coast, but they're still there. Like, they're about 1 or 2% of the population in a lot of central.
Ohio too, right?
Hmm?
Ohio.
Ohio, yeah, you could say Ohio is Rust Belt, but I'm talking about like the
So,
Mississippi Basin area,
uh,
right? There's still like um, 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 1 or 2% Indian population in those mid-tier cities. Um, but given that the how the politics works there, and the harm enacted against Indians relative to the population is actually minimal, right? Like that's the point I'm trying to highlight. Sure, there's anti-Indian bigotry, but and sure, there's like I would, uh, I think I would piss a lot of people when I say isolated attacks on Indians, even though it's not systemic or systematic. Um, it it really does not manifest as broader bigotry against the community as a whole. Right? It's a very weird distinction and nuance, but it exists nonetheless.
you're talking about down south only, right?
Yeah. Mississippi and down south, basically.
I would agree.
Okay, so now let's discuss this further because I have few questions. So first question is that did Mr. Puri and his gang of people they did miscalculation in terms of expecting Laura to be very harsh on the Indians and very soft on the Islamists, and how they miscalculate this? Like it's like they are a seasoned people who know how to do propaganda. Are they losing their steam, the liberals and the leftists?
I I mean, you have to. We need to have like a psychiatrist session with them just to ask, like, what were you even thinking, right? It's very difficult to discern what they were even thinking. Uh, I mean, it could have just been that they drank a lot of their Kool-Aid, right? Because like if you follow what congresses have to say, right, then and you completely gullibly believed or naively believed that what they say is like the truth and the worldview out there, then I think you would basically come up with this harebrained idea of saying that, hey, let's invite Laura Loomer to India because Trump doesn't like Modi or something like that. Like or like Trump is uh sorry, or Modi is like Trump's puppet or something. I mean, like, or Modi is trying to find favor with Trump or something like that. I mean, it, I that's the only way I can justify inviting Laura Loomer to India. Like, but otherwise, I'm still scratching my head. But nonetheless, right? Um, I think you have to pay attention to the way she argued. Right? She's not like uh, a random like chick that you pick from the streets of America. You give them a mic, and then you live stream their shit to the world or something like that. No, she's making very coherent argument. She's actually like, I would say, dress down the hosts and people who have been very hostile to her, right? Like uh it goes to show that uh the they're very sophisticated actors, right? Like
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, now what one? I'll add one more thing. Then Anand and both you can actually address this. So like we had also discussed this in our previous discussions a few months ago, that the right wing, the concept of right wing itself, India doesn't like Bharat doesn't have a right wing in the same manner which we talk about right wing in Europe and right wing in America. So this right wing culture, the heritage of right wing thinking, right wing scholarship institutions, it's pretty old because the right wing represented the gentry, the landed gentry, and the elites people. So in that way, Laura Loomer being erudite, being able to articulate, able to fight back with the leftists, it's not surprising to me. Yes, the left does have a bit of edge, but right is not far behind in terms of narrative, in terms of arguments, in terms of their projection of their narrative, especially in America and now also in Europe. So in that context, like, she is doing fine. I am not surprised. Maybe people who are not aware of the politics or the right wing concept, they might be thinking, okay, she's a kind of a one blue moon flower. Yes, Anand and then to Munshi.
See, first we must define what is right wing. The mistake we do often is that we just go a right wing from the Western perspective. In the Western perspective, they have framed it very clearly that if you're Democrat, you're left. If you're Republican, you're right, which is again not true there fundamentally. Because Democrats, neo-libs are also right wing. Neo-libs are right wing, neocons are right wing. Most of the American political system is right wing. It is the subset of the Democratic Party, which are Democratic Socialists and the leftists. They are left wing. Okay. We forget that liberalism is a right wing concept. It is not a left wing concept. It comes from the idea that the state is authority, and to negotiate between citizen and the state, you have to allow some amount of freedom of speech, activism, and ability to push back. And so the right-wing answer to this question was create a system where you have liberalism, where you can express your opinions, you can vote people you want in, you can protest within the framework of the law. So a right-wing person believes the establishment of a system is meant to protect everyone. It is not a detriment to people's success. The leftist believes the system is the oppressor, so you must take it down. Right? So in this case, we have to understand this is basically India today is a type of right wing. We are forgetting there is an establishment, Gandhi establishment. That's my mistake. We jump to the conclusion that they're leftists. They're not leftists. They want to bring back their establishment. They may use leftist talking points. It is very true. Because they are challenging another establishment, right? They're challenging the new establishment under the BJP. So they use leftist talking points to damage that establishment. That's the first thing. Second thing is the vision of the so-called Congress establishment is one of divide and rule, which they've learned very well from the British, right? The opposition of the BJP, their establishment is one of uniting. You bring together all the communities who identify as Indian, and then you target the communities that don't identify as Indian, who say, no, I don't like the Indian state, I hate the Indian state, blah, 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 blah. Right? So even there, they have their outwings. This can change over time. Second thing, third thing. India today's goal was very simple. It was to bring someone who was close to Trump, i.e. equal to Trump, and then scold them, because they can't scold the Prime Minister. They can't scold Trump either. Right? It is, you fundamentally realize that is what the exercise was. And they understood that she's a political operator. She's used to being scolded in exchange for money. She can handle herself. So she comes here. I think she knew it is going to happen. Any smart political operators know this is going to happen. She was prepared, clearly prepared. Because she didn't look surprised when she was being scolded. Yeah, she looked she's like, I know this is coming. Let me stay. Ye bhi kar lo. And one last thing, she knows how to reply to leftists or to leftist arguments. Because she's been hearing it all her life. So that's why she was very competent in replying to the India Today group. It is in India, people are not used to replying to leftist arguments. So they seem incompetent in comparison. That's the problem, fundamentally. So this is where I'll come later. We'll come into this idea that why the right wing in India is so incompetent at countering leftism. Because of this reason. Because we have not had practice. And first of all, we follow American patterns in countering leftism, which is not suitable. It doesn't work. Because we, again, like I said, we have got multiple establishments in this country. Like RSS is an establishment, by the way. It is an establishment that the left wing in India, actual left wing in India, also destroyed. Because they want to replace it with their establishment of communists. Because they had earlier in the Congress, right? So this is what we have to understand. That's why we say there's no true right wing in India, because we don't have this bipolar nature in the US, where there is an establishment with the neoliberals, neocons, and other groups controlling the power, and these upstarts, the Tea Party and the Democratic Socialists of America, try to destroy this establishment. We don't have that concept, right? Maximum, you can say, maybe you could say the people who want to rewrite the constitution, a lot of people like who want to write constitution 2.0, they are the actual left wing. They want to destroy the establishment that is our constitution and change and create a new one, right? They would be left wing in this context. They may not follow leftism, but they are the left wing, right? So that we need to improve our nomenclature when we talk about these concepts. Just saying liberal, leftist liberal, which is what the BJP has messaging is so bad. It's so bad because it is easy to sidestep the leftist liberal narrative. Even a centrist will, like a centrist who follows Congress, can sidestep the narrative very easily.
Okay,
Very easy.
so actually, you had hit a very important point that the left in general want to destroy the right. Okay, and also the right wants to actually
They will destroy the
dilute.
establishment. The establishment of
Exactly. See, the right wing is establishment because the concept of like right wing always means people who already had power. So right wing people who represent, they were represented by landed gentry or the kings or the people who hold posts, correct, kings and queens, so or the earls and other people, so all the like landed elites who banded together and they were called the right wing, and
Yes.
all the peasants were the left wing. So in that way right wing is always going to represent your the existing power structure. So let me
Exactly.
actually get to the points where I was trying to get, is that when we are talking about correct, so the right wing in the West, it means Europe and in America, right wing exactly know who they are and what is their Shatru Bodh. So right wing already has a Shatru Bodh and a Swayam Bodh. Correct. With that's why I have this book to actually represent this, because now the problem with in India is that the people are in left, they know what they want, who they are, but the right people or the nationalists or we call the Deshbhakts, okay, they are a bit confused in terms of what they really want, because the the so-called right wing, correct, that we call BJP, RSS, and the other like organizations put together, the so-called right wing doesn't want to destroy the left wing politics or institutions or agenda. They want to actually weaken the left wing movement and break it away and absorb their few things to actually amalgamate, like it's like a right wing wants to amalgamate left wing into their own portfolio and make it left the right. So that is a difference in terms of what I understand. So I wanted to like check with you and Shastri, is that correct, my assumptions?
Well, let me put it this way, right? I think left and right is kind of overloaded as a term. What you have in India is not a right wing movement as much as it is a conservative movement, right? Like um, we are fighting for preserving a form of Hindu conservatism, right? Like essentially, like we have a Hindu culture that has survived for several thousands of years, survived several forms of invasions, several forms of colonizations, and we want to basically conserve that that core, right? We want to build a dharmic society. That's a conservative. It's not a right wing per se. Like we're not looking for a form of supremacy, rather basically maintaining what we already have, right? I think that distinction is what makes uh, the Indian right wing different from the rest of the world, right? So um, if you look at right wing movements in Europe and America, it's more about exceptionalism, right? It's like, you know, America the Great, UK the Great, right? Like our legacy, our glory. It's all about that. It's not about conserving what's there. It's not about conserving institutions. Though that that's one thing I'd like to state, right? The other thing is also, I think, um, it's it's an aspect of what stigma. See, the conservative movement in India is has been stigmatized very systematically over the decades, right? And that stigma still weighs quite heavily over current political discourse as well, right? Like the most you'd find some of the most laziest dismissal of uh, what I would call right wing points by just saying that वो संघी है, संघ ने ये किया है, संघ की साजिश है, ये हिंदुत्व आतंकवादी है, right? Saffron terrorism. So it's always been an uphill climb to basically like communicate yourself, because you first have to battle the stigma, then you can get your points across, right? And the other thing is, like, think you're right, like in the sense that the right wing movement in India is trying to absorb the left and transmogrify them, because see, what people don't understand is that the left has actually done a lot of like homework when it comes to one form of colonization, right? You just need to basically like dangle some carrots and say, hey, why don't you tackle the other form of colonizations? And they also tend to form the basis of, uh, uh, what you would call Indian or basically Indian national interest, right? In the sense that, our history says that we have been colonized, we have been invaded, and so our national interest also has to reflect that history, and also has to basically protect us from not from a repeat of our past happening to us again. This is basically core Indian national interest. The final point I do want to make is that, why can Laura Loomer make such good arguments and Indian right wingers can't? I think that's a question of context, right? Laura Loomer doesn't have a stigma over her, like in at least in the sense of India, right? Like uh, uh, the other right wingers do, right? To give you a kind of example, right? So I'll come back to the realm of foreign policy as well. India, for the long time, always said that the international world order is systematically biased towards those who do not pay obeisances to Western values and the Western interpretations of values, right? So it would always say that what you call is democracy and how you assess our democracy is racism, is basically what Indian foreign policy boils down to. It still makes these points from time to time. But why doesn't it get resonance, right? But why does a speech by Carney, who basically said, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at Davos, who basically said the same thing. It's not different from any MEA official would say about India or the international rules-based order or something like that. But why did his speech gather resonance? I think the difference.
That's about the media market.
No, hold on. That it's a point of context, right? We tend to resonate with Laura Loomer because, one, she's American who's scolding basically India today for its stunt, right? In the same way that Mark Carney's speech gains resonance because he's a Canadian and he's talking from within the system, right? So I think it's just the context is kind of different. The context of any right winger in India arguing from within the media ecosystem is different from a Laura Loomer flying in from the US and attending an India Today conclave.
No, so let me be more blunt. Laura Loomer, like Rebel Media, all of them were non-affiliated. They were right wingers with no affiliation. Like, they were not affiliated with the Republican Party for a long time. Okay, they were independent. Even Project Veritas, It is not a Republican organization. It is a right-wing organization that had no political ties. In India, every right-wing organization gets co-opted by the BJP. They get taken over, and their messaging is moderated.
Anand,
This is a
Anand, Anand,
reality.
hold. Yeah, I agree with your point. Let me add one more thing. The right wing in general, in like Europe and America, correct? They are supported by independent people, institutions, or wealthy people, businessmen. So let's say take a businessman is in America, he would be funding the Democrats, he would be funding the conservatives, and he would also be funding these small right wing or conservative organizations. Correct. So I why I'm saying this is a very important part. See, she was banned from Uber, Lyft, Twitter. She was banned. Facebook. She was banned. Instagram. She was banned. Okay. Now any let's say let's take anybody. Okay, let's take the example of Ajit Bharti. If he is banned from all the platforms that he is now to earn his money, will he be survive? No. That's why I say the right wing culture, right wing political culture, is evolved over hundreds of years. Okay, in Europe and American continent, at least for 250 years, okay, or more. So you have institutions and individuals, you have businessmen, you have mechanisms. The church also funds a lot of them to actually sustain these movements. A Laura Loomer is created when you have 100, 200 years of institutional backing these kind of organizations. Without the money pumped into their training, into their activities for 200 years, you cannot have a Laura Loomer in India. Go ahead.
See, not there may be some truth to the fact that they have had practice for a long time, but we have to be honest that the right wing in India doesn't have right wing, independent right wingers don't have the balls to speak for themselves. They want to be part of the group. This is a reality. They want to copy paste what everyone's saying. There is no independent political thought in the right wing in India. Some do, but they don't.
No,
They get
is
opted. They get
is it because of lack of support that they do not receive, or is it because
That is
just they are
not
like that?
true for the Western world either, because there's a lot of lack of support for a lot of right wingers, and they keep going. Like for example, Stephen Crowder, when he first started, had no
Hmm,
political
hmm,
support. Like, no one gave him money.
hmm.
Over time, he got popular. He got like more controversial, and then he basically got political support from the Republican Party. But even then, even after all of that, he's still an independent political actor. He does whatever he wants. He doesn't care what the political parties tell him. When he wants to be racist to Indians, he will be racist to Indians. He wants to make a Pajik joke, in spite of the fact that Kash Patel is an Indian, he will make it. You understand? That is the power of the independence of the right wing in the West. They may be co-opted by Hoa, they may be given money or whatever, but may not co-opted. They may be given money or funded, but their fundamental thing is they will do what the hell they want. You cannot tell them what,
Okay,
what to do, in spite of being politically
okay,
Oh,
powerful.
okay,
well, I do
Except,
want
except,
to.
except more mainstream people like maybe Lauren. She's sent here as a political actor.
okay.
I do want to
Shastri, go
interject.
ahead.
I do want to
Hmm,
interject a little bit, right? Like
Sure.
what the right wing movement in America affords is basically a really solid judiciary, right? Like you can't
Yes.
do what Stephen Chowder does in India. I mean, even if the BJP supports you, let's assume the BJP throws their weight behind you. The BJP cannot defend you against a court of contempt. That's the unfortunate reality in India,
But the
right?
BJP can
So
stay out of it. They get involved. That's the problem. They don't
no,
stay out of it.
no. So I think the thing is, it's unavoidable in that sense, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that, um, given how the Indian state is structured, being an individual means you've essentially uh, forfeited any rights. An
No, I
individual,
don't agree with
hold on,
this.
hold on. Let me finish, right?
Okay.
An individual in the state just means that you're basically sanctioned the state to all forms of oppression against you. Right? This is why group dynamics works really strongly in India. Like if you're part of a community, a group, right, and the community basically respects you, then the community, because of its size and weight, can overturn states' decisions. And the Indian system actually does that all the time. So you cannot essentially be that distinct individual uh, with completely independent political thought, given the system that we have. Right? It's just not possible. Right? You have to be part of a broader movement. And if you're going to be part of a broader movement, then you have to adjust. You have to make compromises. Right? You simply can't be like a complete diva and say, I am Ajit Bharti, I am an independent thinker, uh, and survive in a state like India.
No,
Like
but he has made multiple compromises. I don't understand where he comes. Where this come from. The problem is
वो तो हमेशा होते ही रहेगा, right? You have to compromise. You have to. Others also have to make a compromise too, right?
but
Now, at the end of the day, like the BJP did send people to basically fight his case. They did put some tacit backing behind him to fight his case. So it also means the BJP also made compromises, right? The BJP does not prosecute him for being an impediment in the Mathura Barabanki redevelopment. He's against it completely. I mean, to the shock of everyone on the right wing side of in India, basically it's like that place should be demolished, redeveloped, and cleaned up. Like we just want our heritage to be cleaned up, right? We don't want to our bhakti to be a test of like how much filth can you put on yourself, essentially. So, but they're not prosecuting him for it. They're not censoring him for it. That itself is also another evidence of actually
that is okay. I understand.
the compromise is not unidirectional; it's bidirectional.
No, I get that. I understand all that. But I'm talking about unique right-wing ideas. Unfortunately, are not birthing in India because the BJP fundamentally co-opts it completely. Like they can moderate it. I'm sorry, that's just a reality.
Yeah, I mean that's a
unique
reality, but I don't think it's like.
I think Sanjay Dixit is the only one who's able to push back because he's got so much powerful IAS and IPS friends.
Precisely, right? But it's not something that the BJP itself can control. This is the game. This is the rules of the game given to them, and they're playing within those rules. Again, it's like if you want that American style independent political commentary where you can truly be sort of independent from a political movement, say whatever you want, and not get like squashed by the state, then you need to fix the state.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying there's a unique right wing in India that wants to replace the state with a new state, Constitution 2.0, as it were, to allow for different types of writing.
The unfortunate reality is you have to start with the judiciary.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Like you have to start with the judiciary. Like it is. Let me put it this way, right? Like,
don't worry, you're not here. You won't get condemned in court, of court.
No, but it might impact me either which way. Like, if you don't have a backing of a community in India, right, and you're going through something as simple as a divorce proceeding, you're screwed. Like you have to wait 8-9 years for just a trial, and it won't go anywhere, right? And every 3 months your judges changes, and then you have to narrate the same thing about your divorce again and again and again every 3 months. Right? I mean, this is the reality of India, right? This is the true oppression of the state. It's the state, and if you don't have like your political groups or political backing or anything like that, that will basically nudge the state to do what it's supposed to do, you're essentially screwed, right? Like the unfortunate thing is, like, if you're an individual in India, the state will completely screw you just by its like sheer negligence.
Correct. That's true.
And
I
that's
agree.
the banality of oppression in India.
That is true.
It's not political parties. I mean, there's obviously on the left side of the spectrum, they do engage in lots of oppression, but it's not the mainstream right wing that's oppressing anyone. It's actually the state that's oppressing you. And it's a political conundrum that I don't think anybody has figured out a pathway through yet. Like, I know Modi is very intent on doing something about it, but it's a very complex thing. How are you going to cleanly uh reform one key but extremely dysfunctional institution and make it work in your favor?
You take baby steps.
No, I
After
mean,
that, you
Okay.
like, even baby steps are being treated as a form of oppression, right? I mean, this is what, coming back to what I said earlier, is that the right wing in India has to fight a stigma, right? When
yeah,
reforms are introduced, they're basically saying, oh, you're breaking basic structure doctrine, you're attacking the independence of the judiciary, right? And the court does not even allow you to basically present counterpoints. I mean, we've seen this with the NCERT case, right? Like, just one paragraph meant that a
no,
complete
but
censure
hold
of
on. This is
decades of
very
scholarship.
okay. Well,
Like,
let's take this the NCRT thing for example. Let's not go deep into the case itself. Let's take the situation of the person who presiding over the case. And this is my problem with the right wing in India. No understanding of first principles. When the person in charge of the case gives you narratives that you like, you're like, oh, great job. He didn't do something he wants. Bad job. So you're not going on first principles.
no,
Is the person?
I
Hold on,
think
hold
that's
on.
a moot point, right? Because it's like,
Is the judge
y-
is the judge that you're or the person you are talking about, are they following first principles effectively and giving you judgments that suit your worldview? First, for following the first principle that you follow. Clearly, he's not, because it is very random. It is when he feels like. He feels is okay. Basically, in comparison, if you look at the earlier Chief Justice, he was so clear. He may have been woke in his brain, but when he was writing his judgments, very clear first principles. Whether it suited him or not, it doesn't matter. He followed first principles. It's not manmani. Meri manmani nahi hoti. Even if it didn't suit the so-called right wing. But they kept attacking him for no reason when he was not doing anything negative about it. Not targeting the right wing in a unique way. That's the problem. Short-sighted of the right wing in India. Everything is like, oh, mera team vote, tera team. That's all it is.
I
Every judgment is a mera team, tera team.
no, I mildly disagree, right? Because the criticisms against that particular judge were legitimate. I
Like
mean,
what?
for example, like some of the progressive stuff that he was trying to push, right? So it basically came from the West. I could see the entire
Where did
template.
he push it? Where was he
Huh?
trying to push it? He asked a question. He asked a question. Isn't gender like a fluid now? He asked a question. He's not push anything. If the lawyer in the case was smart, the prosecutor was smart, he would say no, sir. The prosecutor, the state representative will say no, sir. The gender is not fluid in the Indian context. You have to learn to have to
Anand,
deal with these
No,
challenges. Not say,
Anand,
but
oh,
the
I
the
wait,
sure,
wait,
like
wait. See, Anand is like thinking that the Indian judiciary, the judges and the lawyers are like the way you see in America, correct? In terms of Indian judiciary, it is like everyone is on the same page. Okay, and lawyers like judges, judges like lawyers. That's why lawyers get dates for it. So when you are thinking that, okay, I am a judge, I am a lawyer, I'm going to counter give facts to judges, and judges will say, okay, this is not how Indian judiciary works. So
yeah.
I
I mean,
understand
I'm
all
a
this, but we have to accept that in many cases, when Chandrachud was being debated by people like Kapil Sibal, they had like a little disagreements in terms of like their things. So there is that amount of the disagreement in cases.
Kapil
The point was,
Kapil Sibal can disagree because the equations others
I
cannot.
get,
Because
I
all
get all, I get all that. My
Yeah.
point is different. My point is a personal belief being pushed is not equivalent to bad judgments. But here, in the case of someone, a person who called Nupur Sharma, her case was not taken on merits; it was taken on feelings. The observations came out based on feelings, not based on merit. That time they were critical. The minute next it came, the next stage when the person became CGI, then it became based on his feelings. Again, he gave some positive judgments to the right wing. They like, oh, very, very happy. Then again, based on his feelings, he does other than negative things to the right wing. Oh, he's so bad. The problem is you're not measuring based on first principle, measuring based on what you feel is good.
See,
How will you be effective right wing if everything is based on your feelings, not on a principle that you want to push?
Again, this comes back to the basic argument I make, right? Like, can you argue on first principles? Can you debate on first principles when an institution itself does not believe in first principles? सब अपनी मनमानी में ही चल रहा है, right? Nupur Sharma is अपनी मनमानी.
Yes, exactly.
The
NCRT.
Jindal NCRT is also अपनी मनमानी. Let me move away from politics. Bring in economics, because economics is very objective. There's no subjective shit in economics, right?
Don't tell leftists that.
Huh?
Don't tell leftists that. Everything's subjective.
Yeah. Like leftists, everything. Like for let's digress from that. But let me bring it back to the realm of economics, right? You had the entire Ispat Jindal. What do you call that? Bankruptcy proceedings.
Yes.
Right? Where was first principles applied in that case? No first principles was applied over there. Right? When you have an institution which only works on the basis of the principle of manmani, what argument can you make? वो तो सुनने तो नहीं वाला है. Right? वो सुनने नहीं वाला है. So करके क्या करने वाले हो? You might actually get yourself in more trouble if you do for first principle. I mean, this is the you have to fundamentally change the nature of the state, and here I'm primarily talking about the judiciary, not the other executive or the legislative. They're working fine, right? Like I mean, they're working fine within the confines of what's been given to them, right? Like, it's not like the current government hasn't attempted to reform the judiciary. It hasn't attempted to. It does not accept judicial judgments like on its face, right? Like they always tweak. They always. No, sometimes they do, but they also don't take it at face value, right? I think the biggest evidence of this is like the tweaks they bring into the bankruptcy code. Courts always keep on scuttling that particular piece of law. Always, consistently. And these guys, every session they bring in an amendment. They try to fix another loophole. They try to strengthen the law. They try to limit like what the damage a judicial system can do. I mean, they're not taking it at face value. They don't talk about it because this is, I mean, honestly, it's boring stuff, right? Like, you can't go to a normal man and say like, here's like the 15 amendments I've made to bankruptcy code. वो सारा भाग जाएगा वो बंदा. भाग जाएगा वो.
They don't hear after a point. They're like, oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah, वो भाग जाएगा वो बंदा, right? So I mean, it's for us to also sort of go out there and seek like, oh, what did they do, and basically say like, hey, they don't take the judiciary at face value. They do amendments, right? But this is what I mean. Like, the legislative and executive are working, which was also previously extremely dysfunctional. They're working now, right? Sure, we can have our disagreements and say they need to do better, and I'm in complete agreement with that. But it's the third wing that's like is pulling everything down, and that's the judiciary, and that needs to be reformed. And unless you reform that, you can't have any of the nice things that Anand is actually talking, which is right. Like, you should argue for first principles, but you can't with a system that only believes in manmani. Right? Let me come back to a more personal example. You're going through a divorce. It's been 6 years. What stops the judge from saying, oh, you have been your case has been shifted around from judge to judge to judge to judge to judge. I'm going to sit down and resolve this, and I'll resolve this in like the next 15 days. No judges stepped up and done that. Nobody in the
Why? Okay. Why they would be doing this? Correct. It's like everybody bread and butter at stake. Na? Why they want to resolve it in 1 year? Everybody has to earn their money. Correct.
तू 6 साल के लिए तू पैसा कमाया है और कितना तू कमाएगा तू
Greed is a never-ending
it's
part.
very.
Dustbin. It's a never-ending dustbin. You have to keep throwing stuff inside the dustbin. It will just keep being eaten by the dustbin monster.
Okay, let me throw a bit of spanner in terms of let's look at what we can learn from this. But before I let's have some fun. Let's see if we get some copyright strike or not. But let me hold on, play it for you.
Are we also doing meme review?
Oh, hold on. Let me first share the screen. Let's have some fun. We have right wing guy, left wing, and then we have other people as well. Let me just.
Fatwas, but that's a hear you, Laura, when you speak of the fatwas, but that's a geopolitical fallout as well of an action that was taken by your country. I'm not in any which way saying it's all right. But when you talk about brutalities, and I'll ask, maybe in the next 10 seconds, we can put out the brutalities that Iranians have faced. 160 young kids, 160 young girls were killed in a missile strike by your country, which, Laura, you have called that the Iranians use them as shield. Even your country, your president, your secretary of war has said it needs to be investigated.
Well, it needs to be investigated, but if you look at photos and footage from the moment that the missile attack took place, you can clearly see the trajectory of the missile, and it was fired from Iran. And so, yes, there does need to be an investigation, but it does appear thus far from the photographic and video evidence that this was carried out by Iran.
So what
It
do
was
you
a
make
missile.
of
It was a faulty missile.
So that is under investigation, but even the Department of Defense and Secretary of War have indicated that there would be an inquiry. The Iranians are very clear that this is a Patriot missile or an American missile that led to the death of 170 young girls.
Well, I'm not going to take the word of a regime that's chanting death to America. I prefer an active investigation as opposed to trusting the Iranians at their word.
So what have your conversations with President Trump been like, especially one on the war on terror? And, you hold a very strong view about women wearing hijab, for example, being a part of TSA or being in aviation security, or people like Rashida Talib and Ilhan Omar being political leaders. Where do both of you stand on that? Where do you stand on that?
Well, I personally am very outspoken in my belief that I think that it should be illegal in the United States for Muslims to hold office. I don't think that you can take your oath on the Quran and also be a loyal representative to the United States of America. You should take your oath of office on the United States Constitution. And we already know that Islam as an ideology is completely incompatible, not just with Western values, but also American values. And if you're taking your oath on the Quran, you're pledging your allegiance to Sharia law, which believes that it is supreme to the United States Constitution. So that is a big problem. And you see that when you have Muslims serving in office in the United States, whether it's Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib or Keith Ellison or Zoran Mamdani, who is now the first Muslim mayor of New York City, what do? They put Islam front and center in everything that they do, right? They changed our rules. We had a longstanding rule in the United States Congress of no head coverings. And now you have hijabs in Congress. They openly support Hamas. They openly support the Muslim Brotherhood. Ilhan Omar has advocated for members of ISIS in her district in Minnesota, which is the #1 ISIS recruitment location in our entire country. And Zoran Mamdani is campaigning with co-conspirators in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. So how is this good for our country?
But Laura,
Okay.
Can I first say something? Can I say something first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Notice India Today will not get any FIR for this. And do you notice this? Nupur Sharma said something on Times Now. Times Now was targeted, like really targeted. But notice all the things that she said, Laura Loomer said was almost equivalent to what, or even more actually, much more than what Nupur
I
Sharma said.
think there would be a suo moto from our my lords if JSD would have said this.
The
Yes.
point, I mean, the point
This,
fundamentally is India Today not only keeps this clip up, it is widely circulated, and there is no action whether by the BJP, the Congress, the left, anyone. Why? Because it suits their narrative to have her words out there in the India Today conclave. Remember, this is the, no,
I
it suits them.
disagree on this. I
No, it
disagree on
completely-
this. I don't
suits
think it's a matter of suiting, right? It's like, who do you sue? You can't sue Laura Loomer.
No, you saw
She's
so India
a-
Today.
she's-
Because
no,
it is at
I mean,
Times now. Targeted
like-
Times now. Times now take down the clip of Nupur Sharma. Can you find it anywhere right now?
No, you can't. But the thing is, like, again, she's a guest.
Doesn't matter.
No,
It is said on
that
their
does-
channel.
actually that matters way more than you think it is.
Media
So the
laws
fact that-
require it be not said. No matter
No,
who
if
said
she,
it.
no,
Correct.
if she was an Indian citizen, I think this context matters. If she was an Indian
No, I think
citizen,
it has to be censored.
no, if she is an Indian
Okay,
citizen,
one
then
okay,
you
one
know,
more thing.
no, hold on.
One
hold
more
on.
thing. One,
If she's an Indian citizen, I'm pretty sure this would have raised a hellstorm. The
That's my
fact that-
point.
If the fact
My
that she's
point is that-
she's an American citizen and she's a guest to the country means that everybody in the polity and judiciary basically have to shut up, right? I
That's
mean,
why she's a nobody of America, and we have to literally, our laws have to bend for her. That's my point. No one in our establishment, including the BJP, have the balls to put an FIR against a statement. They'll target Nupur
Why?
Sharma, but she can say
Why?
whatever she wants in Indian soil.
no, I mean, why would you want to put a FI? I mean, see,
Now, my point
it's
is-
not it's point.
It's
It's
not why.
completely-
I'm telling you, I'm making a moral statement here about principles in our country. First, principles do not matter in this country. It's about political power and political positioning. That's my point about the whole thing. I'm not talking about whether it is beneficial to us or not. It is not beneficial to BJP to fire an FIR. But I'm saying it is about the fact that a Westerner can say horrible things, not horrible, even more provocative things on Indian soil, and the clip can stay up. And no one can have a problem with it except replying to her. Even I'll give you some. There was some Indian lady, some Congressy lady. Her reply is not that, oh my God, you bigot, we will target you, we will file FIR against you. Her reply was, we are united Indians, all Muslims, Hindus, all together. You bigot, you can't break our resolve. That's her reply. That's all her reply is. She has no more ability beyond that to do anything legally against her or against India Today for inviting her. Because that's my point. They are co-opted. They are basically sheep in our country, including every single political party. My point is that this goes back to the earlier point as well. Why is there no ability of the right wing to speak up independently of the political establishment? Is because everything is co-opted, including the judiciary. The judiciary also has the balls to file suo moto case against India Today for allowing this woman to spread hate speech on Indian soil. Because everything in India is co-opted. My point is this.
That's very
completely shows-
unfair. To be honest,
No, it's
that's
not.
extremely
It's
unfair.
extremely fair. And unfortunately, there are not enough right wingers to call this shit out on a regular basis.
No,
We
I think
want
that's extremely
to believe-
unfair.
We want to so
Because-
believe our state is perfect in every way in keeping us safe.
No, I think that's extremely unfair, to be honest, right? Like I established earlier,
Sorry, that
like you have one wing of the government, especially the judiciary, that does its own money. Right? You cannot fight on principles with the unprincipled actor.
So why
That's
did
the fundamental reality of the world.
Mr. Our current CGI summoned the India Today head to his office and say, "You have been irresponsible. You have caused problems in India by inviting Laura Loomer." He will not do that.
I mean, you simply cannot fight against an unprincipled actor, right? Like, you can't fight
I
against.
know, Bhai, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it is ridiculous. The farce that we see.
No,
as
but-
a-
Again, like I also mentioned earlier, context matters, right? Laura Loomer is an American citizen. She's perceived to be close to Trump, right? She's also like coming in as a guest, right? Like, if she was, let me put it this way: if she was a PIO, right, person of Indian origin, and I'm making a very different distinction here, a person of Indian origin, and they said the same thing, I'm pretty sure they would have been Nupur Sharma as well.
See, I get all this. I understand all this stuff. My point is very simple. in Singapore, take Singapore for example. If you vandalize public property or anyone else's private property, you get caned. Whether you're a Singapore citizen or you're an American citizen, as in one American citizen realized many decades ago, your boy came and he keyed some cars, they whacked his ass in spite of the fact that US threatened Singapore. That is the point. A state, a strong right-wing state, follows principles to the T. It doesn't bend and buckle to any bullshit. Whether it is a foreigner or an Indian, they will follow the principles to the T. We don't have a strong right-wing state. My point is that. It's the whole thrust of my argument through this whole discussion about earlier about the BJP and co-opting of right-wing speakers and stuff. Because the state is not, the establishment doesn't work properly. It's like a hodgepodge of do whatever you want.
No,
When you feel like it.
I think we have a right-wing government, but one wing of the state is not not aligned to any wing. वो अपनी मनमानी से चलता है, right? Like वो अपनी मनमानी से चलता है. Just let me bring up another example, right? The recent not inauguration. Oh yeah, inauguration of the West Bengal governor. The judge was wearing a red robe, a freaking wig.
Seriously,
He's trying to cosplay a British judge more than an Indian judge. I say court system hai. I mean, which is internally itself colonized. तो क्या करेगा? Like
this is colonized. It's all confused. It's not just colonized.
No.
It's confused and colonized.
I mean, it's like I think Naipaul made this very good point. Is that the Indian administrative system? I think the other two have basically they're either being whipped into reform or they are reforming. Is such a stickler for weird traditions, right? Like and weird worldviews. I'm pretty sure that all the judges they could have Nupur Sharma Laura Loomer. It's not she can be swatted easily by the Indian state, to be honest, right? But there is an implicit like colonized mindset and a hierarchy that exists within the judiciary.
Visa
That
for
they
our
don't think
judges might get
independent.
hampered. Visas
Yeah.
for our judges might get hampered into USA.
Sure, that could be.
Is touched.
I mean, that could be one of it, right? Like if Chandrachud doesn't talk about gender fluidity, then his son's scholarship in London might be cancelled for all you might know.
He actually believes
Right,
in
like-
it's okay. I mean, he's woke. We can all accept he's woke. It's fine. That doesn't affect his judgment. That's all I'm
No, I
happy.
think he's also. See, it's people are complex, right? You're not woke for just being woke. You're
No, he was
woke
woke.
because there's some kind of benefit attached with it.
No, I'll give an example where this argument breaks down. Right, that gay marriage, going via the what bill is what is that? What marriage act is the non-Hindu marriage?
Yeah, that lawsuit was actually argued on first principles, to be honest.
No, but he said exactly the point. He's woke. He's a woke guy. He can say, "Oh, I'm woke. I will basically allow for it to be on this grounds." But he said, "No. Unfortunately, the law states I may want it. I may want to give you equal marriage, but unfortunately, the Indian Constitution, the law, and the Indian Constitution doesn't allow you to get married on this law." And he was principled. So I appreciate people who are principled. I don't appreciate people like the judge who gave earlier the 377 version. He said, "Oh, they're a minuscule minority. Why do we care about giving them freedom, about giving them equal rights?" That is a bad law. That is the judge who didn't apply his brain on first principles. Chandru and all the judges in that group were people who applied their brains on first principles. 377, the decriminalization of 377. That's my point. My point is that a judge first principles, you can respect them, even if they don't support your judgment. What your stance is.
I think this is a selectivity issue, right? Like if you look at the broader cases, you don't see that. It's mostly manmani. Yeah, I'm not dismissing you by saying that he didn't argue in first principles. He did. It's an exception. It's not a norm. Unfortunate. That's the unfortunate reality. Look at any economics cases, anything related to economics or business, or even regulatory stuff in any level of the Indian judiciary. सब मनमानी से ही चलता है.
Yeah, but you didn't see.
And
it's
it's like
not even disagree with Chandrachud. Did you see him filing what contempt case or anyone? He's like, okay, you want to speak about me, it's okay. But the next CJ, the current CJ is like, oh, I'm offended. Danilo, you're screwed. I'm going to throw the entire book at you. I mean, that is not first principles. Like literally everything is like, oh, mera feeling ho gaya. I got offended, I got hurt. It literally like someone took it personally against themselves. I don't understand.
Nah, see, the CGI does a lot more things than just like adjudicates on specific landmark cases, right? And this is where my criticism of Chandrachud comes from. वो भी बंदा bench fixing कर रहा था. When it came to
Playing the game.
yeah, he played the game, right? So when it came to anything
I'll-
related to
I'll give you-
economics
wait,
or
wait, I'll give you an example, a very good example, which actually people forget about what Chandrachud did. Remember that Abhaya case in Kolkata, where the lady doctor was brutally
yes,
butchered. That that very severe case that was being heard by the Calcutta High Court. And like Madras High Court and Calcutta High Court is one of the right now they have the best judges in terms of principle and in terms of delivery. Calcutta High Court and Madras High Court have done a really good job.
I think Delhi High
Whatever
Court's
I have, yeah, but
Delhi High
in terms of visibility, high profile cases that they have handled and the way they have delivered judgments are quite, because they are political judgments. They affect political parties, political narratives. So in that context, Madras High Court and Calcutta High Court has done a very, very good job considering how the higher judiciary functions in this country. In that context, Calcutta High Court took that case. Okay. After that, Supreme Court took a suo moto without anyone going there. And whenever it got heard in Supreme Court, the case went for a toss.
we need to cancel the suo moto powers. Seriously.
No, I believe 200% that if the case was heard in Calcutta High Court of the Abhaya case, it would have been a different result. Yeah.
No, but your criticism is very valid. The suo moto concept is ridiculous. I'm sorry. It is nonsense.
No,
one
it was nobody asked Supreme Court to take that
That's the
case.
point.
That case
Suo
already
moto is
took
the
it up.
That's the point.
So-
Suo moto is
so-
on your own without any.
No. So what Munshi is saying, the Supreme Court is doing a lot more than just giving judgments.
I know and I get
Why?
it. I understand. I'm agreeing with you on this concept that the suo moto power of judges is ridiculous. They need to stop. They cannot be allowed to do this. Their job is one of please from citizens, not from you. Can't. You're not the boss of everyone. You're not that. You're not everyone's
My bab.
actually,
Okay.
actually the more subtle, just one last point, right? The more subtle and powerful thing a chief justice can do is actually fix the bench,
That's true.
right? Like you fix the bench, you've already pre-decided on how a particular case is going to go.
Shastri, how does it work in US? Is that bench like how it goes? Is there a similar kind of things happen there?
So in the US, there's no concept of bench fixing.
Yeah.
Right. So the entire Supreme Court, if it adjudicates on a particular case, it does it as a full bench. Right. There's no like 3 bench, 2 bench, 4 bench, 5 bench, 7 bench, or 9 bench cases or something like that.
So
And they don't handle all
more
these
things.
They only handle
So
concepts.
Yeah, and the
one more thing.
court chooses what can be appealed to it. It's not like automatic appeals. Like you can't appeal a high court decision and expect the Supreme Court to accept that appeal. The court still retains that choice.
Yeah, see, in general, Supreme Courts only take the constitutional matters, correct? That's how the mandate is.
Most
In
countries,
general. But almost
not
every country.
Sort of. It's not just constitutional, right? So let me give you a brief of the U.S. justice system. So essentially, it's like you know how in India we have high courts, but the high courts in
Hmm.
India are like specific to states. Here in US you have federal districts, but they go across states, right? So fourth federal district or 12th federal district, they cross multiple state jurisdictions. Now there's one, the court does pick on constitutional matters, but more importantly, what the Supreme Court of the US does is it basically adjudicates conflicts between two different federal benches. So let's say Bombay High, if for one particular law, like say bankruptcy court, Bombay High Court passes a judgment that says, "Oh, this law is valid," and say Kerala High Court says the same law, that subsection is invalid, so whatever decisions you've made have been invalid. The Supreme Court does not just sit quiet. It says, I'm going to adjudicate this, and I'm going to give a final binding precedent that both these disputing where the disputes are resolved, and both these districts have to abide by. That's a very important role that the court plays, that our court is uninterested in this. I mean, it's completely uninterested in disciplining its own system. Asking it to basically adjudicate diverging judgments and opinions is like asking for way too much out of them.
Got it. Okay.
They would rather hear
discuss-
cases about whether some private school in Karnataka should allow hijab into classroom.
Okay, let's now talk
wait.
the last part of our discussion.
You missed a lot of the Laura Loomer. I missed other things of Laura Loomer she said. Very important to talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
She made some really
Go
good
ahead.
points. I forgot about the video now. If you can play it again. Can quick this quick skip
Yeah.
through.
I'll play it.
Not the whole thing. I'll just tell you where to like.
I think yeah. She made a quite.
Let's first take Preeti Chaudhary and the interviewers first. Okay, let us take those two interviewers first. Okay, those two interviews. First of all,
So
why do you hold on? We don't play it yet. First, let's first check. Why do you even care about what is the moral argument for Iran? What is your duty? She is a person from the US. She is from MAGA. Ask her about MAGA things. Why the hell do you care about Iran? Why are you asking her about Iran? Ask her about H1B. Ask her about why are you against H1B? Why are you against immigrant workers?
why you are passing racist remarks against Indians?
Yes, what is your problem with Hindus? First of all, frame it against, because her majority of her rants were against Hindu deities, calling them demon, this, all that stuff. Why are you not asking that question? Why did you go to Iran? Iran is not relevant in this conversation. After you bring up Israel, then you can bring up Iran and whatever. Fine. But first you ask her that question. Second thing, they're asking, oh, this source said this. Why does it matter? Why does it matter to you how many died in Iran?
No. She is quoting Iranian sources as authentic sources. Like
It
saying,
doesn't
okay,
matter. My point is not. My point is beyond that. Why are you talking about the Iran conflict beyond the Indian focus on that? Why can't you ask what is the Trump's stand on in this conflict and the oil issues that India is facing? That's a question that matters. You care about Iran. You care about, oh, the children died. So then ask her. You should ask her as well. Ask her, what is your opinion about all the 50,000 people who were murdered by the regime in Iran? This is the problem with Indian journalists.
They are not journalists. That is the case.
Including the so-called right-winger on the panel. That right-winger sitting there on the right of her, the Sawant guy, he also so-called right-wing. He also same nonsense. I've noticed all the right-wing channels in India have been pushing this nonsense. About 160 kids were killed. Ooh, boo-hoo, ha-ha. Rahul Shiv Shankar from CNN News 18. Oh, America, imperial power, just killed the 160 kids. Boo-hoo, ha-ha. I don't know who gave this narrative. It's very clear in India. Writing narratives
got some halal money, na? He got some
Yeah.
halal money as ads.
See, the
don't know.
media in India is actually cashed out. It's a loss-making enterprise. So they say any kind of nonsense if it means they get higher TRPs, because with TRPs they can get ads. This is
You
very
can
well
get more
established, right?
clarity from the
But
gas discussion, bhai.
no, but hold on. But I want to but look at like how I don't think either of those panelists believe the questions itself. Like if you look at Preeti Chowdhury, her voice and her tone sounds confused. मैं ये क्यों पूछ रहा हूँ? Gaurav Sawant is like, कुछ तो करना चाहिए. I mean, this is like the shit that the editorial pushed on. I'm pretty sure they would have wanted to ask
Nahi,
slightly
bhai, they're
more.
all incompetent. Most Indian journalists are horribly incompetent at interviewing people. And the one journalist who's reasonably incompetent, Arna Goswami, always resorts to ridiculous framing. He's
Again-
incredibly actually brilliant. He actually has really good questions in individual interviews. But the minute it comes to a panel discussion, he turns into, I don't know what, Mr. Drum conductor or the circus conductor. I don't know what is he. Kya hota hai?
This is all about money. But it's like again, the old adage still applies today, that nobody who's smart takes up journalism. Only those who failed their 12th and were unable to get into, say, science or even commerce stream ends up taking arts, and then basically for the sake of self dignity takes up journalism. So that's why journalism is so bad in India, because like it's all the losers who are actually going after this job, right? And maybe some of them makes it to the top, but again, the corporate adage also applies here, is that you fail your way to the top, you don't succeed your way to the top.
Seriously.
Uh,
And
Yeah, I
and
think
the other thing, other
the
interesting thing.
amount of people, wait, the amount of journalists we have, people who write, okay, for a living, and the kind of intellect that like majority of them have, there are exceptions anyway, so we should not that everybody is bad, but majority of them have intellect which is even it is worse than mine. Okay, I am not a very intelligent person, but the way the argument the people make,
No, they're worse than Papu Gora Pagora. That's the best.
sometimes yes. Like the depth of discussion, correct? The depth of understanding, the depth of actually going into the topic and go rigor. That is absolutely lacking in like even the best of people who are top people in terms of journalism and asking questions. Go ahead, Shastri.
No,
These-
you see. Oh, sorry, Chas.
These guys are so idiots that even
Laura
MLA
Loomer can overpower them.
No, Laura Loomer to chhod de. A local MLA will basically throw you in rings and just call out your own, like ye kya sawal hai karke. I mean, they're pretty dumb. Like journalists in India are not like the greatest people ever. Like I said, these are folks who could not get into commerce or science stream, ends up in arts and picks up journalism. You can't
Arey-
expect much from them. Like
Are you
even
take? Oh, sorry. You take the recent comment by Papu Gora Pakora about Apollo hospitals, and there are no SCSTs in Apollo hospitals. What is the journalist's first question to ask? Okay, how did you get this data? Did you interview every single person? Did Apollo Hospital give you the data? Do they track SCST data in Apollo hospitals? That is a groundbreaking story. The Apollo Hospital tracks SCST data or caste data. Then you go to Apollo Hospital and ask, is it verified that you track SCST data? I mean, it's basic. I am not a journalist and I know this is the first thing you have to do when you talk about this kind of claims.
See, after judiciary, it is media which is the next in terms of their shenanigans.
you fix the judiciary, the media will fix itself. Right,
Never
because-
gonna fix this.
No, because there's the thing is like the courts, when the media goes out of hand, the court readily uses its court of contempt and disciplines them. Right? If you make the courts follow even basic broadcasting rule, and they at least abide by the law of broadcasting laws, then no media in India would freaking survive, man. Like they'd be, everyone would be complicit in breaking the law. That's the honest truth here. So you fix the judiciary, everything else will fall in line. Like, but
But that's a very hard thing to do, because the judiciary is
it is
not only judiciary. The judiciary is again connected to a lot of other power structures
it
inside
is a
India and
it is a very
outside India.
necessary thing to. It is a very necessary thing to do. Yes, it's hard, but you cannot avoid it, and we cannot avoid it
Do it
even
stealthily
further.
like
It is
do it stealthily like you did 370. That's all. Do stealthily.
Stealth se nahi chalega. I mean, they've tried with stealth. They've tried with everything. I mean, like, ultimately, the judiciary knows that it can deem anything as unconstitutional. Any kind of reform as unconstitutional. But
Okay.
I digress a little bit. I
No, they
digress a
can't.
little.
They can't.
But
They have good justification. They can't just.
but you know what? I think like Anand has only discovered like national media so far. I wonder what his reaction would be to regional media.
I have
Holy
seen regional media. Regional media is like
No,
national media with more makeup and
No,
more
no.
prop.
No, and local media, holy shit, like the craziness that exists in like local, like your city, your village media is out of this world. I think like Anand would
I
just
find
completely
Karnataka
enjoy it.
media quite decent. Karnataka like local media is quite decent. Actually, it's quite decent. I'm actually surprised how good it is.
yeah, I agree with Anand, because I have lived in Bengaluru. So like local Karnataka media is actually better compared to Chennai. What we have here, Karnataka media, it has much better reporting standards.
Yeah.
That I
and
can
and,
say. I have-
and the report, the panelists, the kind of they discuss it with in terms of the threadbare discuss the topic. They don't go around just doing drama. Like it's not there. Some channels may, but majority of them are quite decent.
No, the local media is actually much better. Like in the coastal Karnataka region, the local media is quite good actually,
Yeah.
specifically.
Coastal is good, but rest of Karnataka, I think there's a lot to be
I-
desired, right? Like, but nonetheless,
Vijay.
like, but holy shit, like you have to look at Marathi media is out of this world. like
I got
Marathi media can be like equated with the media in TN Tamil Nadu.
Oh, okay.
It's
they're
a
not
mirror
comparable.
image.
They're not
No,
comparable.
comparable. No, comparable means the kind of reporting and media structure that we have in Tamil Nadu. The similar structure exists Mumbai-based media in Maharashtra.
Well, no, I think the equation is sort of flipped on its head, right? So in Tamil Nadu, media is basically controlled by the political party. So you have the Maran running the Sun TV network, and they run it as a typical propaganda thing. Essentially, it's like a form of communism if you think about it.
1984.
It's completely communism.
Yeah,
It is state propaganda.
yeah, it's basically
84.
a state. Yeah, it's a state propaganda way. In Maharashtra, it's not. It doesn't work that way. Media in Maharashtra actually is place of
For Royal
nuisance. No. They play a nuisance factor, right? So it's not.
Is ever
about-
Arnab learned all his tricks?
Yeah. It plays a nuisance factor, and you can see the influence in Noida media as well from looking at Marathi media. So they write and publish articles only because it creates discomfort and nuisance to whichever person they are targeting. Right? So and that's how it functions. So in Marathi, especially local media, it's like every journalist is a freaking diva. Like they think they are some kind of Madonna, Pulitzer Prize winning Madonna singer or something like that. They think they're pop stars, right? So in Maharashtra especially, like you know that a person is journalist by what car they drive, like, or what they plaster on their car, and it's typically their face, and they are
Wow. Damn
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's typically their face or some kind of crazy haircut that they had, and it's like gaudy and garish as shit. Like it is that bad. Like I'm pretty sure if Anand comes to Maharashtra and looks at local media, his head will explode.
Younger, I was there, bhai. I used to live in Bombay, in Thane, sorry.
Then you would have noticed these
अरे नहीं
girl-
कुछ नहीं notice किया.
मैं
Anyway.
बहुत notice किया actually. I think.
No, ये Laura Loomer का next part था. She basically so all the statement that this Preet Chaudhary and he's making, she says first the two things that she says that are very interesting. First, she says, I don't believe any Muslim should hold office in the US.
Exactly.
First of all, that's not possible. You can't. There's no such law that allows such thing to happen. So that's just like what you call it, rhetoric. Okay. The second thing is she talks about Zoran Mamdani, and the group there like that, and she's right. She's not wrong. She's not wrong that the minute any Muslim gets into office, they start pushing, even in so-called secular and modern society like the US, they start pushing their agenda. They don't wait. Whether they're progressive or not doesn't make a difference. They start pushing a Muslim agenda. They just do. This is the way they are programmed. And this is also true about black Muslims. Remember, don't forget, America has its own indigenous Muslims. They are black Muslims under Louis Farrakhan and all those people. So the one good thing about black Muslims is that they're a little bit more detached from. I mean, they were more detached from the craziness of subcontinent Muslims or West Asian Muslims. But now even that distinction is changing. It's being disregarded. It's all joining together. They're all becoming the same. So interesting thing is that she's right. They push their agenda. The further interesting thing is she tells Preeti Chaudhary something very specific. I expect them to take their oath on the Constitution. She doesn't say I don't expect. She didn't say I expect them to take the oath on the Bible. Did you notice that distinction? She said they take the oath on the Quran. I expect them to take the oath on the Constitution. She didn't say the Bible. So at some level, she's accepting that the oath taking should only happen on the Constitution, not the Bible. Which a lot of right-wing MAGA people will say, take your oath on the Bible. So that's interesting. That's an interesting parameter that she added. And the last thing was about why should I take the sources of the enemy? I want an independent thing. And that's a very reasonable argument to make. Again, see, the point is, she didn't go into the framing of the enemy. The right-wing Indian needs to understand. Do not fall for the framing of the enemy. You put your own framing forward and say, this is my frame. This is all I accept. Nothing more.
I mean, the thing is, like, I think the BJP has made all of these points before, right? Like, take the Vande Mataram controversy. Vande Mataram, our national anthem, it is part of our constitution. Right? We have two national anthems. We have Jana Gana Mana and we have Vande Mataram. But yet,
No, we have national song and we have national anthem.
yeah. But they're treated one and the same, basically. Like,
Yeah.
No.
At par in terms of importance, at par in terms of acceptability.
yes, but just enforcing that, like, it's a constitutional principle if you look at it, right? Standing up for the national anthem is a constitutional principle, but enforcing that, huh?
The Supreme Court already said you don't need to stand for the national anthem.
Whatever, but
The government has put a notification saying you have to stand for the national anthem. You
Well,
understand? The Constitution doesn't say that you have to stand for the national anthem. It is not actually technically it was not illegal earlier to sit for the national anthem. The government later put the statement in saying you have to stand for the national anthem. It's on a separate notification.
I think these are all implicit stuff, right? Like in a lot of
I know,
cases,
I'm just being technical. I'm being technical for a reason.
yeah,
Because a lot of leftists will use the technical argument. They will not just use the principle. They will use the technical argument. And if you don't not prepare for the technical argument, you will lose. You lose the debate, and they're like, "Oh, see, I got you. You stupid person." You must be prepared for the technical argument, even if you're sound on the principle. That's my point. Every right winger must be prepared for the technical argument always. Do not assume that you can just sit on the principle. That's my point.
it's still an implicit principle nonetheless, right? You might be technically right, but the principle still stands. But the court can sort of agree or disagree with it. But ultimately,
Okay.
like
Okay.
even
One more
even
thing.
even hold on.
That wig. Wait. That wig is part of the constitution that they have to wear. Is it also
not.
written somewhere?
It's
Right.
all practice. One thing, no, all of this stuff can be changed if you really have the will to do it.
Like no. I'm just still thinking that is that is there something written that okay you have to wear this wig to actually go and
Part
like
of the
get
constitution.
the
None of this is part of the constitution. None of this is part of the constitution. All of this is parameters made post constitution.
Wait, the wig was a parameter made post constitution as well.
No. I mean, kept post constitution. They kept what the Britishers did. Just like, oh, I want to also look as important as the British. Let me also like it. That's what basically.
What procedure? What traditions? I mean, can you point me to a court book that says that judges should wear a red robe and a wig and look all British when they are inaugurating a governor? Like, I mean,
my point can be changed with enough will. You can change it.
Like I can say the same thing about Vande Mataram, right? I mean, either.
I'm not disagreeing with you. You can be changed.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing that it can be changed. I'm saying technically the constitution doesn't say you have to stand for the anthem. That's my point.
No,
the constitution.
There are implicit parts about the constitution, right? There's explicit stuff, and
this implicit stuff. We should stop. Let's keep this implicit stuff out of things. This is exactly what the manmani is. How manmani is used. I implicitly think India is a secular state. No, the constitution explicitly doesn't say it's a secular state. Implicitly, India is a socialist state. The constitution does not say it's a socialist state. Implicitly, problem. Bhai. You need to stop doing implicit stuff. Explicit only should be allowed. Not anything implicit. You frame a law, you put it explicitly, then it will be no need to discuss implicitly this, implicitly that. Frame a law saying Vande Mataram, you have to stand for for Jana Gana Mana, you have to stand for. Frame a law, put it in the constitution, finished. No need to have discussion with leftists anymore. Over, finished.
Then our constitution would be bigger than the Iliad, Ramayana, and Mahabharata put together. Like, kitna aur chapters tu dalega usme? Like
appendix, put it as appendix. Why should we put it in the appendix? For reference sake, when you want to say, oh, you must, this is the rules of Vande Mataram. Put in appendix.
I think we can have now. We can put an AI to read and just find it out.
Yeah,
but constitution and put an AI and then they will
but
just
in the field of legals and laws, right? There's always a concept of implicit laws, right? And what they basically call natural laws and natural rights. That will always exist, and you cannot.
I know this is there, bhai. I'm against it because it's exactly what allows the judges to do what the hell they want and give any excuse. Natural law. I decided it's natural law. Okay, give me an example. There's a natural law of innocent until proven guilty. Why is the SC/ST Act still existing? Not one bloody judge has seen the conflict there. Why is AFSPA there? Again, doesn't follow the natural law. I mean, I don't understand. My whole problem with this implicit and explicit stuff is like this. The judge is like, oh, I've decided implicitly that innocent proven guilty doesn't apply to SC/ST Act. What do you mean? What nonsense?
This is why you're not a constitutional lawyer. Like, because I think the problem is
I'm not Indian constitutional lawyer because the Indian constitution makes no sense to me. It is a ridiculous constitution.
I think your what is the issue of discipline and court procedure is being mistaken as a constitutional problem. Making the constitutional more explicit or completely explicit will not solve the issue. It's a problem of discipline.
No,
answer my question. It's a problem of court decorum. It's a problem of
why is a natural law?
Hold on. It is a problem of court discipline, court procedure, and also the court system as a whole, right? Like, why does AFSPA exist? There's a good reason why AFSPA exists, actually. You have to read through the law, right? And
why can't you add
the government actually makes the case in the entire filing. Like, AFSPA is one of the most contested national security laws in India. It's very well tested, actually. So it still stands by principles. It's not like it doesn't stand by constitutional principles, but there is a specific kind of like that's why there's a lot of conditionalities when AFSPA is applied, right? You have to satisfy certain conditions. You can't just willy-nilly apply AFSPA in Maharashtra or Mumbai just because you feel like it, right? The Mumbai has to go through a certain kind of what do you call that, breakdown of law, order, public order, and social stability for AFSPA to be applied.
Okay, tell me why SC/ST Act. Explain SC/ST Act to me.
I mean, again, the government made a case there. I think it should have been struck down. The courts are disinterested in striking it down, right?
That's my
वो
point.
मनमानी होते रहता है. But there are very specific cases. There are very specific laws that actually India has gone through. See, not all of the judiciary is irredeemable, right? Like there are serious problems of dysfunction that needs to be fixed. That doesn't mean that all cases are bad, all acts are bad, all laws passed by the Indian Constitution, Indian Parliament or legislature is arbitrary.
See, you're a Western, the person who lives in the Western world, right? Now, there's something called double jeopardy in the Western world. Double jeopardy is a very common concept. You cannot file a case against for the same crime to the criminal again once he's been acquitted. Now
that's why there's like the concept of counts.
No, I get that. I get that. My point fundamentally is no court in the US will allow any exception to the rule of double jeopardy. No matter whether it is national security, whether it is a terrorist bomb going to go off, whether someone's going to murder someone, double jeopardy is double jeopardy. It will be followed strictly. It doesn't matter what the government in the US wants. They will strike down any law that breaks double jeopardy.
But double jeopardy is not defined in any constitution or court procedure.
But
it's an implicit concept.
That's my point. But in India, implicit concepts are not followed strictly. So, for example, what happens in the US, if double jeopardy they want to avoid double jeopardy, like you mentioned, they will use counts, they will use other methods to change the case that's being filed. But in India, even the principle is not followed explicitly.
Is that an issue with the constitution or an issue with discipline?
I'm telling the issue with the way the laws are
framed. No, is that an issue with the law, or is that an issue with the discipline or the way court?
Wait, hold on. In the SC/ST Act, you can explicitly state if a person is being some slur is being committed against a person, you establish evidence, then you arrest the person. It'll be innocent. Then you can follow how it's followed with what's the other one? What's the ED case which is filed against Arvind Kejriwal? You go and justify in front of a case, in front of a court. With this evidence is being gathered, this person is under SC/ST Act. It makes sense to jail him and then jail him. But no, they've removed that proven guilty. They jail immediately. Just go take him into custody.
Again, is that issue with the law or issue with the?
It's the issue with the law. It allows for this to happen.
Or court culture.
No, it's not court culture. Explicitly in the law it says you must arrest.
This is where we differ, right?
No, I don't.
I strongly believe it's a problem with the court culture and the court lack of discipline within the court itself.
This doesn't happen.
I mean, you're looking at it from a narrow perspective of SC/ST law, right? SC/ST Act. I'm looking at a broad.
Only law like one or two laws are like this.
Hold on. Especially when it comes to issues, economic issues, regulatory issues, where it's pretty black and white, right? Like there's no subjectivity in any of these things, and the court itself doesn't have the discipline to even follow basically maintains any level of consistency with economics. What can you expect with other laws which are much more subjective, which require much more context?
I get all that.
But again, it's like you can fix the law ad nauseum as much as you want, but as long as the court, the judicial system, the people in them don't exercise any form of discipline, self-discipline, don't exercise any kind of principle, and there's no enforcement of discipline, and the court culture also basically encourages indiscipline and manmani, then you cannot do anything with that. You can
but
fix
you're
laws
missing.
ad nauseum. Like
No.
take
I'm
ITC,
saying,
take
no.
take
Hold on.
bankruptcy code. Hold on, take
Don't
bankruptcy
go to
code.
economics. Economics is very objective. I'm talking about things that allow for subjectivity of police. This is a problem. You're not understanding my point. My point is subjectivity of police. You're going like last stage. The arraignment is only after arraignment do the judges come into this. I'm talking about the laws that allow for the police to do manmani. Forget about the court. Judges to do manmani. For example, 3-7. Hold on.
If you can't
Hold
even
on.
enforce anything
Hold on.
objectively, what will you do
Arraignment.
with subjective stuff?
Hold
Basics
on.
to aana chahiye, right?
You're not understanding. My point is you can't allow for the law to be used subjectively in the first place itself. Like before anything started, so you let the subjectivity happen. For example, 377. Another interesting law that literally was used subjectively to abuse people. Like any person could randomly accuse another person of unnatural acts, and the police could basically arrest them. Anyone, it could be a straight person accusing another straight person of doing unnatural acts, and just the accusation is enough for the police to arrest you and take you into the jail. Same thing with the SAC. The point is you create laws that create this situation where the police becomes the judge. He's not building a case and taking it to the judge and saying, okay, now judge whether you are objective or not objective, I will see. Before itself the judge, the police itself is the judge, jury, and executioner for people. That's the problem.
Bankruptcy.
Right?
No, take bankruptcy code.
Like that.
No, take bankruptcy code. It's been through in the past. When was it introduced? 2017.
Can the police randomly arrest people with bankruptcy code? Can they?
But you are reversing like past business transactions like 4 years down the line. That is equally as criminal as police arbitrarily. No, when it comes to
I'm saying you're missing my point.
Let me finish my point. Right, when you are basically calling transactions, legitimate business transactions that occurred several years in the past, and you're basically saying they're illegal. In terms of economics, that is equivalent as arbitrarily arresting a person, right? And then the subject, basically, and economics is not objective. Sorry, it's not subjective. It's very objective, right? You either make money or you lose money, right? A transaction has happened or not happened. There's no in between the two. You've either signed the contract or you're not signed the contract, right? There's no in between. I may have signed the contract, or I may have not signed the contract.
I get all this. I'm agreeing. There is some amount of the judiciary is not objective sometimes. You're missing my point. My point is not even that. Even before the judiciary is even in the discussion, we already have problems with the way laws are framed.
We're talking past each other, but let me finish my point, right?
Yeah.
2017 May, we introduced Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act, right? The code itself. It's been less than 10 years. That freaking law has gone through 15 amendments. And each amendment has been targeting a loophole that the court deliberately introduces.
Okay,
each amendment basically introduced by the legislature has been trying to discipline the court itself.
How is this about my point? My point was not about this. My point was that some laws are created in such a way that they allow for abuse of power before even arriving at the judiciary.
No, what I'm trying to say is like
that's my point.
No, even if you make the law as sane as you can, right, the court will still find a way to make it cruel and unusual punishment.
So make it less insane. No, at least why should you're like, oh, I want to be perfect is the enemy of the good. You have heard this statement, right? Let me make it reasonably good. You can't be perfect because the judiciary is ridiculous. It's fine, but it prevent the person from getting targeted at the police level. No.
You and me can agree. Bankruptcy code was sane legislation.
Yeah.
Then why does that code need to go through about? I think it's been like 12 or 15 different amendments in less than 10 years.
Questions the court. I'm talking about the court. I'm talking about the first stage before even the court arrives. I get what your point. The problem is you're not agreeing with me. I was only agreeing with you on the judiciary. I agree with you on the judiciary, but I'm saying some laws are framed in such a way that even when the judiciary is part of the discussion, it is abused.
I
And
think
it's
that's
designed to be abused before the judiciary is part of discussion.
no. I think
Purposely.
that's irrelevant, right? Because
It's
court,
very
court
relevant.
culture itself is not
No, it's not.
enforcing
Sorry, it's
anything.
very relevant. You don't live in India, so you don't feel this hurt on a regular basis. Like,
Actually, I do
no, I
because
get.
Okay,
No, hold
okay,
on.
okay.
I get example. The
Okay, I
police
think
person can randomly choose his own personal opinion about what they qualifies as evidence in terms of a
what,
civil
what
dispute.
what stops the
He
judge
doesn't
from
get any
enforcing
evidence.
discipline?
A court can't enforce discipline on policemen. What the hell are you talking about? How can
They
the court
can.
enforce?
They can. They
No,
can
they
suspend a
can't.
cop.
No, they can't. They can't. They usually suspend each cop. Is it? Like, come on. They have too much work already on their hands to finish. They look at the cases. They can't worry about the cop. The
I
cops,
mean,
the supervision of the cop is
the
there, left to the state.
court lacks discipline. It takes 6 years for you to adjudicate
Are I'm
over a
agreeing with
divorce.
you.
You keep on finding loopholes in like what is a sane
I've given you.
legislation.
I've given to you about the court being incompetent and not being efficient. My point is the problem is that many of the laws are designed to be misused even before the court comes into the discussion. That's my point only. I'm not going beyond that. See, why not fix that part? There's a filtration system. Okay, there's a filtration system. There's gravel. There is like softer, smaller gravel. Then there's sand. You're worried about whether the sand is doing a good job. I'm saying the gravel itself is not doing a good job.
I'm saying it's irrelevant. Like
True.
if your base
okay,
foundation
okay.
itself is like let's take the filtration system example, right? If your filtration system lacks sand, everything else above it is irrelevant. That's the point I'm trying to make.
At least
Okay, okay,
the piece of
okay. We
plastic will not
agree. Okay, we agree that the judiciary is dysfunctional. Let's come down to the last point of our discussion, which is very important. That what we can learn from the American right-wing politics. If you can see the screen, right? So okay. Let me just increase the font.
typical anger fighting.
Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at the issues with the Indian conservatives or Bharatiya conservatives. So take the issue of this jihad code, love jihad, and all the jihad which is happening. Now, the so-called conservatives are asking for a law to be enacted so it can maybe stem these incidents which are happening. So now, tell me, like, would an American conservative would be asking this, or they would do something else? Shastri.
They would go from the state and up. Right, so it's actually easier for you to get these laws passed at a state level than you do at the center.
Okay, let me reframe the question. Okay, I did this question to both of you, Anand and Shastri. Let's take a ideal scenario where a law is passed. It is well defined. It is and it has all the good provisions. Long sentence, all those things are there. Even if the law is well defined, passed, is it going to help this issue? Passing a law in Indian Parliament, okay, or having some amendments, will going to have any on ground impact on the case of love jihad?
Absolutely,
Is
it
it
will. Absolutely, it will. Right, like take the.
It will, okay.
It will, right? So let me give you an example, and that is the anti-conversion bills. MP passed an anti-conversion bill. Look at
UP
who's
has
filing.
one.
UP has one. Look at who are filing FIRs. It is the Indian conservatives that are using this. See, you might not expect all of society response to it, and it's kind of unfair to do that because people have their own priorities. But there are dedicated people who use these as tools. Take what's her name? Swati Goenka is the person. Swati underscore GS.
Swati
Goel
Goel.
Sharma.
Swati Goel.
Huh?
Swati Goel.
Swati
Goel,
Sharma.
Goel.
Swati
Goel Sharma.
Swati
Yeah,
Goel
sorry.
Sharma.
Yeah. So Swati Goel Sharma. Right. She's been going on the ground and she's filing FIR. She's pointing out these conversion rackets. So I mean, if you pass a law and you know your political operators are going to use it appropriately, then they will use it, right? Or they are informed about what the law does and what you can do with it, they will use it. There's no doubt about it. Whether sung, and the other thing you also need to realize is that, when it comes to love jihad, it's the parents that are most impacted by it. Right? They would obviously, if a anti-love jihad law was passed, they would obviously reach out to the local shaka sangh and ask like, hey, I need your help. मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ इस समस्या के लिए? And that would then be taken forth by the local shaka and sangha, and they'll find a lawyer. They'll work through the system. They'll file a FIR. They'll file a case. Right now, today in northern India, the fight against love jihad is not it's not the law enforcement or the government system doing it. It's basically local sangha outlets that's doing it, and they're doing it under the gambit of anti-conversion laws or POSCO or something else. So laws are definitely helpful. They will be used appropriately.
Okay, one more question. So
I disagree though.
how
I
do
say
you, okay, okay, understood. I think I got one more question, so then you can answer. So is this case of love jihad, is it a social problem or a law and order problem, or both of you can answer?
It's both, right? Like it's both a social problem and a law enforcement problem. The law enforcement aspect comes from the fact that there's no systematic prosecution of what's happening behind the scene. The social problem is just responding to it, because we are responding to it from an individual case basis. There's definitely a considered effort to basically colonize, engage in a form of Islamic colonization of India, right? What there lacks is basically a systemic approach to basically crack down on it. And again, this is what Laura Loomer tries to bring out as well. India should remain Hindu India. That Islamic India is actually a disaster for the world. That was her key message. If you heard carefully, and if you saw what was being shared around, that was the message that resonated with people. Everything else was secondary. What she said about Iran, nobody gave a damn about it. Right? What she had to say about Trump, nobody gave a damn about that. But they were fundamentally sharing the fact that she said India should remain Hindu, right? And you need a state that looks at this systemically. We have a dysfunctional state, so even if you have the best investigators who can deal with this in a systematic manner, the court will always throw a wrench at it. That's a different issue, but it does require that systemic approach.
Anand.
Yeah. See, I don't agree with this anti-conversion law. I think it is the wrong way to achieve the outcome that you require. It only, and it's typical, same thing happened with prohibition. Prohibition, same thing happened. You wanted to prevent alcoholism in populations. You brought prohibition. People only rebel against it even more. They go do things purposely because they're like, how dare you tell me what to do? How dare you tell me I can't marry this Abdul? I will go marry Abdul only. It is very counterproductive, and it basically makes the job of every parent doubly harder, because they are not. What would really help would be allowing for freedom of expression to express what to the tenets of the two different religions in India actually follow. Remove the stigma of talking about the religions. Let women talk about it openly without having say this community, that community. Say this the Muslim community and their books are explicitly misogynistic. They are misogynistic here. Not good for women to join a misogynistic religion. I will debate any scholar in public if they want to counter me. Put it on public TV. Let the news channel show the debate completely on scripture. When the scripture is revealed to everyone, without the people having to hide, automatically they'll slow down because people are like, why should I join this thing? Look at the history of this community by their own scholars. Why should I join it? Why should I betray my parents who are so nice to me all my life, who allowed me to be free and go become join part of this group? That's what your opinion should be. Okay, some Christian or some Muslim may target Hindu gods. Okay, Hindus can handle it. They've been handling it for decades. For millennia, they've been handling it. Why so touchy? So feeling, oh my God, you get offended. Oh my God, some Christian may say something about Durga. But they're already saying it. Laura Loomer has been really saying it. She comes to India and happily is chilling on India today. They're saying it. Your law, your what do you call it, censorship law is not going to change that. They're going to still say, they'll say it in their Nukkad Sabha. Somewhere in some small village, they will say, go tell horrible things about Hindu gods. You will not hear it, the cops will not hear it, you will not be able to counter it. They will just tell it to the people they care about. But you will not be able to counter them because you're like, oh, shut up. Because the minute you speak something, oh, the law is used against you. I mean, people don't understand this basic thing. Let's remember one thing. In Hinduism, Bhagwan is universe. Universe doesn't need your protection. You're an insignificant fleshling. Your protection is unrequired for the universe. It is much bigger than you. You are outraging right now will not affect the universe. Universe is vast. Universe doesn't care about your screaming and shouting. You care. It's about to satisfy your ego that you're screaming and shouting so much. That if people understand this basic thing, they're able to counter this. You understand? Only thing that matters is real things on the ground, and the real things on the ground is hate speak is being spread against Hindus privately to young kids, to young boys and girls on a regular basis, and you have no ability to counter it because you're obsessed with what some guy said in what some guy said. You want to put a law that allows you to prevent it. That is the problem. And anti-consumption law may help 1 case, 2 case, 3 case based on what Swati Girl Sharma can do. But she can't be everywhere all at once, including even 100 activists you have. There are 1.5 billion people. They will go where Swati Girl Sharma is not there. They'll go that place. That's my point. You cannot be everywhere all at once. You have to give the tools to your own people to counter it. And the only way to do it is to allow for free speech. Allow for them to access this data. Don't censor stuff on the internet that, oh, this particular passage is being mentioned, censor it because someone will get offended. That's the problem. The India's problem is censorship. We are not been able to fight this because of censorship. Only because of that. Look at what's happening in UK. UK is doing exactly that now. They're censoring people. One shopkeeper says, no halal food in my restaurant, he's arrested. Sikh guy is arrested in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't allow for people to be open, say what you want to say without being restricted. We're adopting the British model instead of adopting the open-minded model, truly the dharmic model. Let you speak as required, and you challenge the enemy, and at his own basis. Aman Singh is completely right. A woke anti-Hindu can spew venom against you on Facebook sitting in the USA, but you can't. Indian laws will fuck you. You can't say one thing. You can't say.
I think we are way beyond the stage of having open debates like how Shankaracharya used to have in the.
Not even Shankaracharya.
Or hold on, I let you speak, man. Like I expect you return the favor, man. Like I give you 4-5 minutes. At least give me some of that. Basic respect. Thank you. But I think we are way beyond the stage of like open debate. You can't have an open debate with a adversary that has no principles, to be honest. Like whether it's like I'm talking about especially the non-dharmic communities. They have no principles. You need laws. Sure, Anand has a point. You can't censor it, but you still need laws. There's a place for laws. Things like anti-conversion bill, things like, let's say, anti-love jihad laws. They're not banning intercommunal marriages. what they are doing is they're framing the issue as a form of fraud. Anti-conversion bill is basically framing it as a form of fraud. Like, you cannot, and it also targets something called as proselytization. Now, you need to realize one thing is in India and in Indian law, going back to the British era, they've always seen distinctions between changing one's religion and proselytizing. Right? The anti-conversion law targets the latter, right? And it also frames proselytization as a form of fraud. So, what are you doing with what are you doing with these conversion rackets? You're basically selling miracles
Yeah,
as
jobs. You'll get jobs.
you'll get
All these are there.
jobs, you'll get
Job is
rice,
a
you'll get health.
healthcare. They will say to you, you will get hospital. We have a hospital here. You can get free treatment. So all
Yeah,
things are there.
so this is called coercion, and it's treated as a form of fraud in the anti-conversion bill. It doesn't say that you cannot go and talk about Jesus on the street. That's not what anti-conversion bill does, right? That's what anti-conversion bill does, right? In the same way, love jihad, if such a law comes out, would probably frame the entire thing as a form of allurement, a form of fraud, a form of brainwashing or something like that. It won't be censoring or banning some kind of activity like that. I think we also, as a movement, we need to go into some of the weeds of these things, and that takes some kind of dedication. It also takes, and we also need to educate ourselves about these things. And I think when Anand says that anti-conversion bill is a form of censorship, that only means that we are not that educated about
I didn't
how
say
the
that.
law. Okay, fine, you didn't say that, but if the what do you call that? The implication of passing such a law is basically perceived as form of censorship, then I
I
think
didn't
that's
say that. I said it won't work. I didn't say it's not censorship. I said the censorship laws. There are other laws that are censorious to people, not the anti-conversion law.
whatever, right? But it's still
Yeah.
we still need to, the point still exists that we do need to educate ourselves of these laws, what they're actually trying to do and what they're trying to frame.
I know what they're framing.
Okay.
I know exactly what you said about allurement and coercion. I got that, but I'm saying it's not going to work. I said that's not my point. That's why I started saying they're not going to work. But I didn't say that the anti-conversion law is a bad law. It's not going to work. Because his question was very specific. Will it help in preventing the love jihad? I'm saying it's not going to work. It may work like I said, Swati Gaurav Sharma may be able to catch it in certain cases, but unfortunately, it is only going to work when people are going to use the law. When it's not going to be used, it's not going to work.
I mean, it is being used, right? I mean, Swati Gaurav Sharma is the most public of how she does that work, but I'm pretty darn sure the same bills being used in Palghar, out just outside of Mumbai, or in the entire Anantapur, Kurnool area, in parts of Chhattisgarh. Swati Gaurav Sharma is not going over there and doing it, right? I mean, the law is not an all out solution. It is a toolbox. Now, if you think any law is going to be a silver bullet, then I don't know, man. I have a house to sell you, I guess. It's not a silver. Nothing is a silver bullet. You have to build your toolbox. Anti-conversion is one of them. Anti-love jihad is one of them. Obviously, they will be insufficient. Obviously, you need to go beyond the law, and that is the reality. You simply cannot illegalize these things. You have to have a comprehensive approach either which way. and that comprehensive approach also has to include some form of lawmaking. I see, and this is one thing that we can learn from the right wing in US, right? They don't uh, they don't look at things from a perspective of silver bullet, right? Laura Loomer, she not only advocates for laws, but she also does education. She does advocacy. She goes and informs people. She tries to build a support system, and all people in her cohort, they all do the same thing, right? I mean, they have a broader playbook, and that's what we need to learn. Like when we say, I think the issue is a form of exaggeration that we do to build support. I think political rhetoric is it does introduce some form of exaggeration, right? Hey, this will be the solution to all your problems, kind of thing. And that's normal for political rhetoric. Um, but I think we take that rhetoric, that exaggeration, a little too far, right? In the sense that anti-conversion bill will stop this conversion rackets that goes on. Love jihad law will Anti-love jihad law will stop love jihad from going on. No, it does not. It's a toolbox. You still have to go. You still have to do the other parts of it, right? Like if someone's impacted by love jihad, then you need to be there for them. You need to present that support. You need to help them file those cases. You bring that girl back home, right? Your ultimate objective is to,
Rehabilitate.
yeah, rehabilitate. um and you need to ensure that, after that girl is rehabilitated, that the stigma of her becoming a love jihad victim does not stay. No law can help with that part, right? And the right wing has to basically become social reformers, and also imbibe this uh, a change in mentality within broader Hindu society. And I can say the same thing about anti-conversion bill, right? There's still a stigma around like garvapsi, because somehow implicitly we still have that shuddhi mentality. So sure, laws can help. Laws will help. Laws are part of a toolbox. They're not the entire solution. You have to be comprehensive. So that means, like, after the law is applied, you do some more groundwork after that.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask, let me show you something. Yeah. Okay, so
I don't have any agreement with anything that Shastri said on the second time, because I think that is essentially saying the same thing. We need to do more than that.
exactly. So laws are one part of the tool of a tool shed. So now let's look at it. Shastri, do you think, both of you, do you think that the Western right wing, American and Europeans, okay, are they reactive or are they proactive in terms of their stance? Or and in the opposite side, are Indian so-called right wingers only reacting to what's happening, or are they having their own strategy to actually build their own way of thinking, build their own way of making a new state, a new government, or new policy?
um I think politics is a game of distraction, right? Like, sure, whatever
No,
we
I'm talking about at the right wing as a, like a, as a, not as a vote bank, but as a kind of a power structure. So the let's say, correct, the Trump, if Trump reflects the right wing ideology in a way, not the politics itself, but as a power structure, is Trump reactive, or is Trump creating its own incentive class, its own policies, own laws, which will going to transcend his time at office?
I mean, he's not following any institutions that you highlight in the screen share over there, right? Like, like, I don't think he's listening to Heritage Foundation or AEI or Cato or Hoover or Manhattan, like or Hudson. If you ask anybody in those think tanks, they will probably have one or the other frustration with Trump, right? Trump does what Trump wants and what Trump desires. He's that kind of a person. He's very narcissistic. So I think it's more the latter, right? He's breaking what the constraints that the right wing institutions would typically place upon
Okay.
a
Okay.
conservative politician. Hold on, let me just
Okay.
finish.
Then wait. So actually, let's remove Trump and put George Bush Jr. Senior into this.
Yeah.
Bush Jr.
So
Senior.
George Bush Senior, Junior, his John McCain, they're all establishment players, right? So if Heritage says something, they'll probably follow it to a certain teeth, right? Because for many establishment politicians, the value that institution gives you is that they think about a certain problem thoroughly. Trump is not that kind of person, right? He doesn't like to think things through, and he basically says he's sort of like he views the world as a big smoke test, right? Let me break this down and see who starts crying, and then I'll react to that person crying, right? Uh, that's his political philosophy. Now, does the right wing in India require institutions? Yes, absolutely, right? But do these institutions need to do everything? I don't think so, right? Like, so institutions should chase a particular class of problems, and they should think deeply about those class of problems. Right? The Sangh has a potential to do that with its own institutions. I'd like
Has
that.
they been able? Has they been able to, maybe replicate or maybe 5% of what the conservatives have done in US?
No, like not in terms of focus. They're spread too thin, right? So take Vivekananda Institution, VIF in New Delhi.
Huh. Hmm.
It has to have an opinion on everything, right? Like you're primarily an institution that's dedicated to the national interest and security of India, or rather Bharat as it calls itself, as it basically frames it. But you have to have an opinion on every darn little thing that happens in the country. You lack that focus. So when you're spread too thin, you naturally react to everything, and you lose that long-term thinking, the medium-term thinking, and like that's what you need, right? Like, and that's definitely lacking. Why did it take Modi government 3 years to pass basic reforms? Right? It could have been, or let's say even the third term of Modi. Why wasn't, say, any of the Sangh institutions coming up to Modi and saying, hey, here's our 200-page document of what you should consider as like things you need to do within the first 100 days? That requires focus, that requires not like spreading yourself too thin. Right? The folks at Heritage Foundation, they don't care about what Laura Loomer has to say. Right? They say this is not our lane. They solely look at what policies would align to conservative principles, broader conservative principles. They think deeply about it. They conduct research. They do studies. They conduct surveys, and they come out with a policy document that can be read by anyone, understood by anyone, and they come out with help you navigate like the policy speed to basically get it enacted, right? And that's how you attain speed. Here in India, I think unfortunately, the government is its own think tank. The government has to do its own research. There's no outside entity that basically assesses the government from the outside and says, this is what you need to change.
And that is very important, correct? Like you will be short-sighted if you're doing, like, if I am doing some work and I am the sole evaluator of that work, then that again it's a flawed system. I again not to find the flaws because I have done the thing. I can't find the flaws. You need a third party stakeholder to actually ac- take account of what I have done, what I am doing. Only you can actually objectively evaluate it. Okay, whether this is good, this is bad. But if I'm going to evaluate my own work by myself, then it's going to be same thing which is happening with a lot of things.
Yes, that's one part of it, right? The other part is that, why do you have to wait for Mr. Guaba to come up with his recommendations for reforms? Like, why isn't there a policy document ready already that basically informs Mr. Guaba saying that, hey, you know what? We've done some homework. We'd like to share our findings with you. It's still, Mr. Guba's recommendations are not passed by Parliament yet. It's been more than a year. Why should it take a year for him to study this? I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make, right? That requires a little focus as well. The other thing I do want to state is that, in India, we have a tendency of, we need to start everything from scratch. उसकी जरूरत नहीं है.
The shuddhi problem, correct? If you are, like, if you had, let's say beef once in your life, then you are not part of the Hindu fold anymore. So that shuddhi problem is there with us Hindus. We want everything perfect. The world is
Yeah,
not perfect.
like it has to be pure from the beginning. So if you let, let me give you a much more coherent example, right? The Sangh keeps on harping about demographic is destiny. They keep on talking about it, and then they tell people like, "Aur bachche paida karo." Sure, you could make. I'm not. You can make that. You can advocate for that. But where's the Sangh's institution think tank that has thought about this problem? Right? Where's the Sangh's institution that basically has helped form policies or build programs or advocacy or build a movement to promote dharma? Right?
Forget about promote dharma. The problem is that whatever laws are being passed, correct? All the pro-women laws are being passed. Okay. Any sane person, correct? Any sane person today in India, if he gets married to any girl, correct? He's literally writing his life that this girl can screw me any day. I'm at her mercy. That is how the laws are framed.
Sure,
And
that there's legitimacy and validity in what you have to say, but it's still tangential to the point I'm trying to make, right? Why should this come from individuals? Why isn't a Sangh think tank that's making this case, right?
exactly.
Like that's what it's lacking right now. If you want to make this case, you need focus. You can't keep chasing the zeitgeist of the day. Hey, you're not in the game of getting mass followers. You're in the game of actually building a good legislature, good policies, things that can stand a manmani judicial system. The Sangh has experience. Various people in the Sangh have experiences with these things. Right? Like they should look at, like I said, a class of problems. There's plenty. Right? We don't need the Sangh to spread itself too thin by looking at every individual problem. You have to look at it from a class perspective, right? Category. So and then come up with build that institutional framework to tackle that, right? Like The Tatvagyan Vidyapeeth, Sangh organization apparently, Sangh think tank. They're utterly quiet. You don't know what the heck they're doing, what they're thinking. It's like a Sunday shaka, right? Like, bunch of uncles come, they discuss, they go back, you come back again next week, nothing happens. They discuss the same point again. You argue about the same point again. Right? There's no dedicated thinking, there's no focus, there's no meditation. Like, you have to be meditative about these things. Like, I'm not, by meditation, I don't mean you close your eyes and you say a Gayatri mantra, and that's not the kind of meditation. I'm talking about intellectual meditation, right? That means you stay still, you think about a particular problem. Right? You don't jump around from place to place to place to place. Right? Oh, Modi ji ने आज ये बोला है, इस हफ्ते का ज़ाइडकास्ट मोदी जी ने जो टॉपिक बोला है वो है करके. You don't chase like that. You need discipline. You need intellectual discipline. Just because Ambedkar is the flavor of the day doesn't mean you have to pay obeisances to Ambedkar as well, right? It requires mental discipline. It requires intellectual discipline not to do that. That's lacking. Most right-wing institutions in the US, they have, or in the West, they have their very deep flaws as well. But one thing that we can learn from them is this discipline, right? The discipline of not jumping into issues that is not relevant to your particular objective or your intellectual journey or path. Right? That's very, very, very important.
Okay, so last question. Last question is it, are we like the the Hindu society that we live in, correct? Let's say post 2014 incidents and awakening that we have seen, correct? I am ready to accept, ready to give credit to BJP, to Sangh, to all the other affiliate organizations who have done ground level social engineering to actually create people like us who have got the information, are doing some kind of work. 5 people are watching this, 10 people are watching this. We are creating a discourse. For that reason, I am grateful to the Sangh, to the BJP, and a lot of other people, organizations who have done this. But as a society, are we at a scale or at a stage where the American society is in terms of right-wing thinking? Because if you see at Manhattan Institute, Cato Institute, Hudson Institute, they are 4 to 5 or how many decades old, I don't know. Like they are quite old in terms of the discourse that they are doing. So the players, the right-wing players, the institutions, the thinking process, the perspective, the political parties, the media organizations, their whole like organization, they have a 5 decades, 10 decades of experience in doing these things. And we are looking at political parties and others are just having 10 years or more than 8 years of actually hard power experience. So is the society is not ready for whatever we want, and are we expecting too much from the organizations in terms of we want all the problems to be solved in next 5 years?
I think all problems should be solved by next 5 years has been an obsession in the Indian electorate going back to 1950s, I guess. So that will always be there. You'll always have to fight against that, and teach people that there's an order in which you solve problems. You can definitely accelerate that order, but you can't solve everything in 5 years. There is some sense within the electorate for that. But you don't need to be 50 years old to basically gain expertise. You need to find the right talent. There's no lack of talent in India. If you go to if you invite Jerry Rao, as he calls himself, anglicized Jerry Rao. He loves Western liberal thinking. You invite him to a session in Bengaluru, you'll find all the great right-wing talents who'll push back on what he has to say, right? They'll be like, you're no different from your colonizer. You're not thinking natively. So that talent exists. The question is, why aren't you honing on it? Right? Why can't you? If this, it takes 3 years to build a solid institution. It takes 3 years, right? Like, why can't you assemble? And it takes like young, mostly you have to hone in this talent over a long time, right? Like, take Manhattan Institute as an example. They were pretty much dead by the 2010s. Like, the grants coming into that institution was so low that they were considering shutting it down. But then they found one guy. They basically recruited him. They honed his academic skills, his investigative skills. They gave him a couple of resources. In about 4.5, 5 years, he turned it around. He made it into a premier think tank, right? Just dedicated on, just because of that focus. Right? All he was focusing on was academic malpractice, how wokeism is introducing racial discrimination, right? How it's introducing, how it's polluting kids' minds in American universities, right? And he dedicatedly worked on it for about 5 or 6 years. Manhattan Institute basically picked him up midway. The son can definitely do these things, right? He's like a 35-year-old guy. He's not some 60-year-old geriatric who's established 3 businesses, lives in America, or some kind of Sangi.
I will interject just one to give you. I think you know it, but let me spell it out. So in some people are very proud that they ran out of money and they have no money. So that is one of the most proudest things Sangh says to people.
Yeah, they need to get out of the poverty mindset. Like, मैं भूखा नंगा हूँ is not a point of pride anymore. वो एक जमाने में चलता था, right? To Hindu civilization is not a भूखा नंगा civilization.
You can't build institution with that kind of mindset, which is still there. Hopefully it will not be there in future, but it is still there, which I am privy to that.
It's a rejection of Lakshmi.
Exactly. It's the most anti-Hindu thing that you could do as a Hindu organization.
It's like saying Lakshmi didn't bless me. Like, is that like really a thing to be proud of?
Hindu culture and civilization is not bhuka nanga, boss. We love to project our depth of intellectualism or wealth. I mean, just look at even the poorest sections of our society. वो किस लिए वो पैसा बचा के रख रहे हैं? For good sari, for good dress, good jewelry, excellent wedding. दान बीन सब बाद में आता है. But it's these material things that they put money into. Even the poorest sections of Indian society, if you notice that उनको तेरे घर पे जो बाई आते हैं, को पैसा देते हैं, you ask them, what are you saving your money for? They'll say 1 for education, 2 for buying jewelry. तो अपने सबसे गरीब लोग में भी इतना एस्पिरेशन है, and then you're basically going against those aspirations by saying, हाँ मैं भूखा नंगा आदमी हूँ करके. And this is my point of pride. कि मैं भूखा नंगा होके मैं देश के लिए अरे तू, to put it in very crass terms, तू चूतिया है. Right? भूखा नंगा रह के देश के लिए काम करना माने चूतियागिरी है. You have to get out of that mindset. You have to make things sustainable. You need money, you need resources, you need to hire people.
You
And
need to
this is
hire
you need to hire professionals too, right? You need to hire people and tell them तेरा ये focus है अगले 2 साल के लिए, उसके लिए मैं तुझे पैसा देता हूँ. And this is not just a criticism of Sangh organizations in India. It's a global thing, right? Like with the exception of say Hindu American Foundation, they hire people, they pay them money. Every other Hindu organization works in the same like bhukha nanga mentality. उनको पैसा दे. मैं पैसा दिया हूँ कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के लिए, एंड देन आई एम लाइक तू क्यों हायर नहीं कर रहा है किसी को? गो हायर इंटर्न, 3 महीने के लिए हायर कर, उससे प्रोजेक्ट करवा, build a workflow, build these things. नहीं, हर हफ्ता there's like, hey, we are looking for volunteers, 3 hours only. ऐसे कैसे चलेगा? You can't build a sustainable institution or a foundation with that. You need money.
In
You need
Yeah,
to
I think,
find talent. You need to facilitate that talent.
no, you see, there are many ways. Let's take the example of correct Isha Foundation. Correct, Isha Foundation takes donations. It also takes volunteers, but it also has people who work there, employs people.
Yeah.
Like correct, Isha Foundation is I went there because I went there. I know how they actually function there. It's a combination of people donating. It's a combination of people coming and volunteering, and also they have their own sustainable way of getting funds in terms of running businesses. So, like, and they are not selling like a cigarette or some bad thing which will have a bad impact. They are selling good things, which has like good things in their life. So, like,
See,
why we have to be that poverty mindset?
I think this is the Sangh's biggest fault, right? This is that socialism aspect of it that's coming out of the Sangh. They need to eject this, right? This integral humanism BS, especially the socialism bit, that introduces this like poverty mindset. It needs to be ejected, and the Sangh needs to rapidly reform itself on this aspect. This is not no. This is no. It does come from socialism, Indian socialism. Let me add a little bit more
Indian.
clarification here, because this is uniquely Indian, right? It goes back to the days of Lohia, who basically like brought up this entire garb of like, मैं नंगा पुंगा आदमी हूँ, देश के लिए नंगा पुंगा हूँ करके. Like it comes from that parochial mindset over there, that crab mentality there. So it needs to go away. There's no doubt about it. But I actually admire Rahul Devan. He's not a Sanghi, but he has the right mindset, right? He's founded a foundation solely dedicated for promoting dharma now, solely tackling conversion, love jihad, the solely improving our demographic destiny. Why isn't the Sangh doing any of these things? If you're going to keep at this Nanga Punga attitude, other people will start working on. I mean, it's happening already, right? Isha is doing its job. Rahul Devan is
Shankar.
doing. Ravi Shankar. Rahul Devan is doing this job. Actually, the Puttaparthi Satya Sai Baba, he used to do this job. So it's like the Sangh is the only one that's like falling behind.
Yes, so Sangh needs to empower themselves and empower others as well. Because sorry, organizations takes long time to build. So lot of people have believed, okay, Sangh is useless, throw it away. What kind of thinking is this? I mean,
Hey,
are
throw it away
Hindus
nahi bol
no. I'm saying about there are a lot of like reactionary Hindus, Kattar Hindus, who would just say, okay, one bad thing has happened and now it's gone. Okay, we don't need this is a worse organization. That is also correct. Kind of that's why we are saying we are waking up this reactionary behavior which we have, where we don't see through talk through our own words when we speak, that is also a problem. So Sangh and other things, they have their own issues, but also we as people who have woken up, we also have issues. We want something to be done, and we are not allowing other to speak and say what they want. If one bad thing happened, BJP is bad, now let's have Congress.
No,
This is the idea a lot of people have.
let me flip that argument on its head right now. I want to move away from BJP Congress thing because that's a whole different zoo. Right? It's a fish market essentially. वो अलग चीज है, वो रिटेल पॉलिटिक्स है, वो अलग चीज है. उसका वो हमेशा उसका एक लॉजिक रहता है, and it has its own cycle, and then it sort of self-corrects itself. Like, I think one thing you have to admire about the conservative movement, I think that's a much more appropriate term rather than right wing movement, is that they have managed to basically keep their flock disciplined. They've managed to tackle these things, right? They made it into a cycle. वो ठीक है, वो आएगा जाएगा. They have not made it into something that brings the entire movement destroys the movement as a whole. There've been times when it seemed it would have, right? Like the UGC issue, for example. But they've still managed to keep the flock in place. They've managed to keep the flock disciplined as well. But that's retail politics. But if I were to talk just about the Sangh, right? Just the Sangh really needs to introspect on the fact that why is a Qatar Hindu saying the Sangh is useless? Problem तेरे में है, उसमें नहीं है, उसका perception सही है. Right? There are, I mean, it might not be like, see, I think it might be an issue of perception as well, right? Like in the sense that the Sangh thinks that, having Bajrang Dal on the ground is equivalent to basically helping society. Whereas society thinks, sure, Bajrang Dal तो है ही है, but मुझे बाकी सब समस्याओं में मुझे हल चाहिए ना. उसके लिए आप क्या कर रहे हो? And that kind of introspection is what the Sangh needs. They're close to attaining their big 3 objectives, but they need to have 3 more objectives. They need to go forward, right? The BJP understands this because they're a political party. The Sangh needs to understand this sooner rather than later because they're a political movement. If they don't adapt, there'll be other players who will basically use the vacuum that's left behind, and then now you've lost your movement.
No, but let's understand from the other as well, other perspective, that if Sangh says that, okay, who are you to lecture me, because you haven't put the kind of work that we have done, so what would be that are put in?
वो घमंड है, वो सीधा घमंड है, right? Like see, you might have done some work, but you have not achieved much with it. Results speak for themselves, right? Like have you cleaned up an entire village? Have you eradicated caste discrimination? Have you made an entire village caste free? Have you proven that your ideology works in a society, a small subset of society? Why can't Nagpur be the most ultimate Hindutva society out there? You claim big things, you deliver maybe 1/20th of that, and then when you're pressed on, like, hey, what about the remaining 80%? If you come at me and you tell me मैं तुझसे मैं ज्यादा काम किया हूं, मैं नंगा पुंगा रेखा में काम किया हूं, it's nothing but घमंड. Right? You are the biggest organization in the world. You can't go to people and say मैं जितना काम किया हूं तू करके दिखा करके. That's pure ego and घमंड. लोग तुझे खा लेंगे तो ऐसे एटीट्यूड के साथ आएगा.
Okay,
Sad-
so my
Sadhguru,
questions are
Sadhguru has
done.
created a
Anand,
more Sadhguru has created a more caste-free society in Isha Foundation in Coimbatore. Like, does anyone there ask what your caste? कौन जात हो? नहीं ना. Just
hey, yes, yes.
the
Hey,
Sangh needs to
yes.
create that in Nagpur and show to everyone that it's impossible for you to criticize us. We are proving beyond reasonable doubt that we
And
are anti.
let me highlight the difference in thinking as well, right? So um look at how Modi approaches the issue of toilets, and look at how the Sangh approaches the issue of toilets, right? Now, the Sangh essentially engages in self-flagellation when it comes to social problems. They don't look at it comprehensively. So when Modi approaches the issue of toilets, he doesn't go to an individual person's house and cleans his toilet with his hands, right? Like वो घर किसी के घर पे जाके या स्कूल पे जाके वो बिना ग्लव्स पहन के वो टॉयलेट साफ नहीं करता है वो. What does he do? He says, I'm going to establish a team. We can contract them. They'll maintain the quality of the toilet. And then he says, yo, तू contractor है, तू अपने लोगों को तू gloves पहनाएगा. You won't let them touch the toilet physically. You'll give them machinery. They can blast it, they can disinfect it, they can do whatever they want with it, right? But the toilet has to be clean. What does the Sangh do? They basically find the first Brahmin that they can find, right? Then tells him go to X school. उसको ग्लव्स भी नहीं देता है, फिर उससे वो संडा साफ करवाता है, और फिर वो पिक्चर लेकर वो सोशल मीडिया में डाल देता है. Then says, look, this is caste free discrimination. This is not caste free discrimination, this is self-flagellation. Right? This thinking needs to go away. You have to improve people's lives. You're just being performative at this point, right? So it needs they need to re-review their mindset.
And by which we are not discounting or not giving Sangh the credit that he deserves for being able to survive in the most hostile situation since 1947. So this also needs to be like, we are not taking any credit from Sangh for whatever they have survived for all these years. It is just that it is take our opinion as something that maybe Sangh can actually do meditate. We are not saying that do it by yourself. We don't listen to us. Just go and see what's happening.
See, I think that's it's a misnomer to think that society does not give Sangh workers the credit they so due. Like uh, a, a Sangh worker, typically, I'm not talking about Sangh the organization, I'm talking about the individual worker, right? They're part and parcel of that community. They're deeply tied into them. Their loss is actually deeply felt by the community, and they do talk about these things. But again, it's like it's a mindset issue, right? Like, what has the Sangh done to reduce those kinds of sacrifices or that killing, rather than brag about it as like, another form of nanga, main nanga punga insan hu, desh ke liye kaam karta hu. I make that into a nice poetry, by the way, because it perfectly describes the Sangh.
Yeah,
Like,
you can copyright it.
yeah, I mean, again, it's a difference in mindset, right? Like, ठीक है, तू एक संघ प्रचारक का कातल हो गया, मैं और एक संघ प्रचारक को पिसता हूँ. ये क्या mindset है? I mean, sure, there's some value in doing that you need to replace the guy that got killed or murdered, but like, you can't just stop with like, I'll replace one after another. You have to go beyond that. Coming back to the same toilet example, right? तू हाथ से तू क्यों सफाई कर रहा है? तू बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस कर. तू वो जरा ब्राह्मण को तू बोल ना, ठीक है, ग्लव पहन, तू वो वाटर प्रेशर स्प्रेयर ले, साफ कर, तू दिखा मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी से क्या क्या कर सकता है करके. I mean, you have to change that mindset. Can't just be like nanga punga hoon karke.
Yes. Last words to you, Anand.
See, how do I say this without being brutally hurtful to BJP people, especially? BJP is like a fact smothering, fact sumo wrestler sitting on top of all Hindus. Okay, it's like I love you, but I want to crush you. Okay, it's like that. So I'll give you an example. Okay, when this freedom of free temples thing started, right? And it's not about RSS, it's not specifically about BJP aligned people. Okay, and I'll mention the person's name also later, a little later. So they were what are the arguments started? Oh, casteism will start. First thing, oh my god, casteist people want to control the temples. But you'd understand when even non upper caste people hear this kind of arguments, where you're like, I need to protect you, I need to tell you how to run your temples. They also like, oh shit, what if tomorrow I join this group and they decide how my temple will be run, including my temple, maybe not the Brahmins' temple, but my temple also, they will tell me how to run it. See, that is what the problem is. A lot of Hindu communities in India who would be very happy to join a united Hindu Sangathan. But when you have this top-down group that keeps telling you, ye nahi karo, ye nahi karo, ye nahi karo, ye acha nahi hai, wo acha nahi hai, right? On a regular basis, the messaging is like that, right? Especially people like Harsh Madhusudan. He said, we'll create a framework where we will control the Hindu temples, and the bigger temples will tell the smaller temples what to do and how to do it, and blah, 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 blah. Every Hindu community in India gets terrified. They're like, what will I do if I join this group? They may just tell me what to do. They make all of us the same. And the same narrative is pushed in places like Bengal. Oh, our traditional Bengali culture will be smothered by this culture from UP, or this culture from Maharashtra, or this culture from Gujarat. Because your messaging is not effective in saying that we will allow autonomy. Your first thing should be we welcome everyone in, including their autonomy. You can't be like, oh, I will control you. And then the Swayam Sevak cannot say, sorry, not Swayam Sevak, what is it? Sarsanchalak cannot say, why do you need every temple? These 3 temples is enough. What does it tell the small community around the country? Oh, he doesn't actually care about our temples. He only cares about temples that he likes. He doesn't care about our temples. He's just talking about Hindu unity without providing us our autonomy. Our local, there are a lot of temples around the country who are of other communities, not of the major Vaishnava or Shaiva community. When the Sarasanchalak says, oh, be part of my movement, but why are you looking for a temple wherever under every stone? He's telling, you are not as important as I am, as what my priority is. And this messaging, unfortunately, gets very amplified by all the enemies of the Sangh or the BJP or whoever. Because when you talk like this, you start giving them evidence of unifying very homogeneous Hindu society, which they've been being warned by every other community, every other opposition party. Oh, they will destroy your local traditions. They will make you all the same. That is the big problem. The problem is these different right-wing groups or different groups need to work together without oppressing each other. That is the biggest challenge right now. Why can't why can't the North Indian Sangh groups work with South Indian Sangh groups and West Indian Sangh groups and create a parameter where everyone works with a diverse message, where each group is. That's what I mean. I love the fact that the BJP is now changing their stance in Bengal. They're moving a more Bengal style campaign. It's not about people from Maharashtra coming and telling what to, or from Delhi coming and telling how should we run. It's a very good thing. I remember I told one stream with College Street, I told Niranjan that the only way BJP will win the Bengal is they make it more Bengal centric. Stop talking about Hindutva in the north, like the other parts, country style. Talk about how it will be Bengali in identity, the Hindutva. Then it'll work much better. It's what they're doing, I think. Now. Very happy with that.
Okay. Anything else, or shall we Was it today?
I think we can call it a day. It was almost 3 hours actually.
No, it was a good discussion, correct? So, like, we had discussed a lot of things which we were talking about internally or we're thinking of saying, but finally we had the chance and opportunity to discuss them, and people get a perspective as well. Multiple things we have discussed.
I'm
Okay,
confused.
thank you.
Can you,
Yeah,
can
go
you just
ahead.
tell me what is the person in the chat? I'm confused. I'm not able to understand who he's talking to.
This I don't know. Some guy named Holy Smoke 19. He's
I didn't
writing
understand
something.
what is he saying, but I didn't get it. I did not understand what is what. It just seems very random. Who is talking to?
Okay.
So, I mean, वो खुद को होली स्मोक्स बुलाता है, कुछ चरस खाया रहेगा अभी, वो गांजा पिया गांजा फूका रहेगा वो.
No, at least I want to hear. I want to hear the argument, but I'm confused. I'm not able to understand what is he. You're okay. I'm done.
Thank you.
I will.
ठीक है, मान लेता हूँ मैं आदि शंकरा नहीं हूँ, मैं इसका कुरान नहीं पढ़ा हूँ मैं.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your chat. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate your engagement.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram. See you.
Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.